want to change the world? You're at Georgia Tech. You can do that. If you want to build the Iron Man suit, you're at Georgia Tech. You can do that. If you want to play theme music during your convocation speech like a we're at Georgia Tech. We can do that. I am doing that.
Virginia Tech has won the toss. They have deferred.
And there is the man, Nick Selby, a mechanical engineering major. He's gotten more than 6 million hits on social media for that speech he gave at the freshman convocation. But he's not just inspiring to the high ideals of academia. He can rev up the Yellow Jacket football team, too.
If you want an old school offense that runs the other teams up and down the field, you're at Georgia Tech. You can have that. If you want to drive every other team in the ACC crazy, you're at Georgia Tech. You can do that. If you want to win on Thursday Night Football, we're at Georgia Tech. We can do that. We are doing that.
I would say that's intense. If Yellow Jackets aren't ready to go after that, I mean, I would bet Selby's pocket protector on that one, wouldn't you? That they're ready to go.
He's sweating in the crowd right now. He's worked up a nice lather getting ready for this game.
You know what? It was really cool to see that, to see the reaction that Georgia Tech has just embraced the showmanship, and to see the kids of freshman class here at Georgia Tech, which is one of the great institutions of higher learning in the country, to have a little fun. Selby's been a big part of it. 6 million hits, might get a few more after that. Huh? If we put Nick's football rant on social media, how many hits you think?
Oh, it blows up.
A few million?
Blows up.
Virginia Tech won the toss. They deferred. Georgia Tech is going to receive, and as Samantha mentioned earlier, Jamal Golden is hurt, so David Sims will be back there with Roderick Snoddy. It is Snoddy who bobbles the kickoff and takes it inside his own 10. Snoddy running sideways. He's going to need to go forward at some point. It's a little bit too late. And he's stopped inside his own 15, and that's where the Yellow Jackets will put it in play first. Here are the impact players when the Yellow Jackets have the ball. The B-back, David Sims. He's like the fullback if you're not familiar with their terminology. Robert Godheis, the guy who will play on the edge and gets outside. Sims has been held in check. In fact, both of the B-backs were last year by Derek Hopkins and Jack Tyler, who combined for 29 tackles in this game a year ago. Sims had no run longer than 8 yards. Paul Johnson's offense relies largely on big plays from that B-back position. Well, speed option, they will pitch it to Sims this time, and Sims, a good run. It might be an 8-yard run the first time he touches it, matching his longest run from a year ago, but doing it outside this time. The quarterback for the Yellow Jackets is Van Lees, a 6'1", 215-pound sophomore from Durham, North Carolina. He's been very productive, responsible for 10 of Georgia Tech's 18 touchdowns so far this season. When he went back to his hometown of Durham, North Carolina against Duke and leading that victory, he accounted for 5 touchdowns. They're going to give Sims 9 on that carry, so make it the longest carry for a B-back, or longer than any they had last year. Fuller coming in to show blitz. Sims has it again. He has a first down close to the 30.
Kyle Fuller is arguably the best cornerback in the entire country, but in this game he's playing inside at the whip position. You're going to see him here, shooting the gap inside. It'll be very interesting to watch. Is he physical enough tonight, David, to slow down this option attack?
Well, you're wasting him if you put him out on the outside of the island against one of these Tech receivers, because they're not trying to pass the football. They're trying to run.
Fuller's in there. Josh Tremble not making the trip. So Fuller, who's had experience in his career playing that position, he's into the backfield, but not quick enough to get to Sims. But this time, Virginia Tech has it swallowed up. Jack Tyler was in on the tackle. He'll be in on a bunch of them tonight. He had 17 in this game a year ago. Georgia Tech is off to a 3-0 start, not tested in the opener against Elon. On the road at Duke, the good win, and then falling behind 13-0 to North Carolina last Saturday in horrible weather conditions. Johnson's team shut down the Tar Heels in the second half and won it 28-20. Maintain their perfect record. Zach Lasky and Lees put it on the ground. Did the Hokies jump on it? Virginia Tech forces a turnover, the second fumble lost for Vad Lee this season. Putting it on the ground has been a problem for him.
So Josh Trimble, who's the starting whip linebacker, he's out in this game with an injury. So in comes Kyle Fuller. You've seen this now 3 plays in a row. You see the quickness and athleticism, shooting the gap and just knocking the ball out of Vad Lee's hands.
Fuller knocked it free, and a freshman defensive back, Brandon Faison, was the guy who recovered it. He is a ball hawk. He has 3 interceptions on the year, and he sets up Logan Thomas and the Hokies inside the 30-yard line of Georgia Tech. See if the Hokies try to hit him quick after the turnover. Thomas firing to the outside is complete, caught by Willie Byrne. Byrne was the man who caught the game-tying touchdown pass against Marshall that forced overtime. This is the impact matchup of the night. Jonathan McLaughlin, the left tackle, is a freshman, first true freshman to start at this position for Frank Beamer, and he'll be matched up against the 5th-year senior Jeremiah Atalchu. Atalchu has 20 sacks in his career. Whether McLaughlin can keep Atalchu out of the backfield will go a long way toward determining the success. It'll be a first down and a lot more. DJ Coles headed to the end zone, and just like that, the Hokies are on top. 21 yards, and the turnover leads to 6.
Sudden change situation. Nice play calling by Scott Leffler, the offensive coordinator, taking 2 plays to score. Watch DJ Coles here, just going to kind of sneak out on the hard play action. All linebackers suck up close to the line of scrimmage. That's a wide open, easy throw for Logan Thomas. 2
easy throws right out the gate for Logan Thomas. Made it simple. Think you're going to run it, ease it up, and nice 2 plays.
2-play, 27-yard drive. Cody Jurnell is back. He was suspended for the game against Marshall. And turnovers can absolutely kill you in what ought to be a tight defensive battle. Virginia Tech takes advantage, and the Hokies have jumped on top early. College football primetime served by Applebee's. Here's how Virginia Tech scored.
And obviously it's second and short, but it's man-to-man coverage across the board. You see Hunt Days, 32, just puts his eyes in the backfield, trying to come up and stop the run. Coles runs right by him. They slip Cole at tight end, wide receiver. So great job by Virginia Tech, and pretty bad defense.
Mitchell Ludwig kicks it off. Broderick Snoddy. Snoddy stopped right at the 20-yard line, and the Jackets will have it for the second time. Kyle Fuller forced that fumble by Vad Lee, and since 2000, Bud Foster's crew, they'll take the football away from you. That was the 388th turnover they've forced. No one has forced more since the 2000 season. There's Bud, who told us he was going to blitz early, probably on the first play of the game, and we've seen a lot of 17 Fuller playing that whip spot in the backfield. Got high in motion, quick toss to him. Robert Godhigh picks up about 7. It'll be second and short. Fuller on the stop.
And if it works, don't change it. I mean, you just saw him cause a fumble. It's the 3rd time he's done it, just leaping over guys. He's anticipating the cut block and then does a great job of running it from inside out. But why do you think they ran outside that time?
Because he was coming inside.
Exactly. They tried to get to the edge quickly, but he ain't afraid to stick his nose up in there at the cornerback spot. You got to love that.
Yeah, this is one of the things that's entertaining about this matchup between Johnson and Foster, the adjustments that each will make. Lee throwing for the first time tonight, and he has DeAndre Smelter. Smelter puts it on the ground. Was he able to get it back? Was knocked free by Brandon Faison, who recovered the last fumble, and Georgia Tech will maintain possession.
Ball security has really been an issue early this season for Georgia Tech on offense. They were lucky having only lost 1 fumble coming into this game, but you see right now, Faison doing a nice job fighting, ripping the football from Smelter. That's just one of those lucky bounces that falls in favor of Georgia Tech right there, because if that goes the other way, all of a sudden Virginia Tech now has started 2 possessions in your own territory.
And I like Paul Johnson passing the football. If you're going to get with this offense, so many guys committing to the run, play after play. You got to throw the ball and have some success. Easy pitch and catch.
Smelter is a baseball player, came here on a baseball scholarship, and it was almost like a ground ball coming between his legs. And he was able to scoop it up. Fuller jumped into the backfield. I should say Kyle Fuller, his brother Kendall, also a starter, the highly touted freshman, number 11. Kyle has been the one making all of the noise so far.
Both sides, number 98 defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So it's a nice job by Vadley switching up the snap count, trying to slow down Kyle Fuller from shooting that A-gap, which we've seen every single play now, but the last 6 snaps. I wonder how long it's going to be till an offensive lineman pops out of his stance and tries to suplex him.
Forget going low. Hey, when Coach Johnson gives the play in, hit 17 high.
1st and 5 after the 5-yard penalty, ball into Virginia Tech territory. And Georgia Tech is going to give that 5 yards back as the freshman Michael Summers a bit too eager.
Number 84 offense, 5 yards, remains first down.
I think Michael's going to come over and have a discussion with Paul about the error of his ways.
How do you think that's going to go?
He's going to tell him not to do that anymore. Corey Dennis. But they run guys in and out with the plays. It's not the...
But if you jump off sides, you're going to be running out of line.
You're going to be the one substituted for if you do that. So now back in Georgia Tech territory. Got high, a quick toss sweep, and there's Kyle Fuller in the backfield, and he is having himself a first 5 minutes of this ball game.
2 years ago in this exact same matchup, Kyle Fuller played the whip position. That's why on a short week, Bud Foster felt comfortable inserting his best cover corner into that spot. And you can see one of the best shutdown corners cover-wise, also very, very physical, not afraid to come up and hit you.
And what about the great way that he played off that cut block attempt from Ray Bino, who came down and tried to get him below the waist.
Can't coach athleticism.
Which was legal.
Yeah.
And Fuller, an athletic play, and stopped Godhigh for the 2-yard loss. And another false start penalty. Shaquille Mason, number 70, coming out of the stance and firing off.
And that was Kyle Fuller again, getting up into the gap, getting antsy, looking like he was going to shoot it.
And he was leaning off sides.
Yeah, I don't know if he maybe preempted,
preempted
the guard to do it. It's going to be an offside.
Should be.
If the offensive lineman reacts, it's going to be a penalty on the defense, and that appears to be the case here.
Both sides on the defense, jumped in the neutral zone, causing the offensive man to move. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Watch him, he creeps up in there, and you've seen it almost every play so far, but he gets in the neutral zone and causes him to jump. But how about Fuller, man? That dude's a $190, coming up in the B gap saying, come get some? That's pretty awesome.
I'm going to say that that was a smart play by Shaquille Mason. I don't think Fuller caused him to jump. I think he just caught him in there and did it and took the 5 yards back.
Yeah.
Good play by number 70, a redshirt junior from Columbia, Tennessee. Give to the B-back. It's Zach Lasky. Lasky gets enough for the first down.
As a defense, when you're playing an option offense, you have to take the inside runs away first. You stop this inside out. And David, you were talking in the pregame about Derek Hopkins and Luther Matty, two guys that played so well a year ago. These are two guys, you see them right there, 92 and 98, that are really going to have to step up tonight. Take that inside run away like they did last season.
Back to Lasky. Lasky hammers it down to the 35. Good pickup on first down of about 7. It'll be second down and 3.
And we saw Virginia Tech week 1 against Bama. That wasn't an aberration. I mean, these guys, they're physical up front. They're deep. They have speed. They got great cover guys on the outside. We've talked about Fuller already, but this defense is, and this is a legit defense without a great offense, which is really hard to do.
Well, there's a lot of NFL players on this defense, make no mistake about that. And Bud Foster, some of his exotic schemes he does up week in, week out, I think they're one of the best in the country, if not the best.
Vadley firing deep and fighting for the football and unable to make the catch is Smelter. He was going against Kyle Fuller's younger brother, Kendall.
It's the thing about this option offense. They try to lull you to sleep. Run, 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 show you the same picture, and then boop, they try to pop one over your head. DeAndre Smelter, a baseball player who just joined the football team this past offseason. Big body, 6'3", 220 pounds. Quarterback Lee trying to give him a chance to make that play. You're not going to get too many opportunities in this game, so you got to come down with those if you're Georgia Tech.
Not really surprised to see them take a shot there either, because Johnson goes for it on 4th down offense, and there are 2 opportunities to run on 3rd and 3. Lee, pitch, 1st down and more. B.J. Bostic. Here, B.J. might have had his face mask grabbed. Kendall Fuller on the top.
Vad Lee waits to the last possible second before pitching his football. Kind of gives a quick hesitation there on James Gale, and he pays for a little bit of chin music right there at the end. Big run for B.J. Bostic.
Georgia Tech trying to answer after its turnover set up Virginia Tech for the first touchdown. They've moved it to the Hokies 25. St. John Days in motion. Give is to Sims. Sims gets inside the 20. Pick up 6.5 on 1st down.
Already I can see Georgia Tech doing a better job getting hats on middle linebacker Jack Tyler, something they didn't do last year. Reese, you mentioned 17 tackles last year for Tyler, able to run sideline to sideline. They tried using centers, guards, pulling guards, tackles to seal slot receivers. None of it worked tonight. They're getting bodies on the middle linebacker.
Do you see what they did to Fuller on that play? Forget going low, went high, just washed him right out of the way, and Sims adjusted his track right off left tackle.
And again, firing out too quickly is a wide receiver.
Offense, number 88, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Darren Waller. Here's what happened to Fuller. You were just talking about it, David.
Well, he's creeping up and just trying to take away that immediate dive. Now look at the offensive tackle. Okay, you want to do that? Your little bitty body, we're going to down block you, and we can run the track off the outside of you and make somebody else make a play.
And 2nd and 9, and that adjustment, something that Paul Johnson's good at. The one thing Paul needs to adjust right now is making sure that everybody's on the same snap count.
False start, number 70, offense, 5 yards, remains 2nd down.
We asked Paul the other day what made him good at adjustments. He said he could usually tell by who was making the tackle, and we saw an example of that with the havoc that Fuller was wreaking early. They found a different way to block him.
But right now, he needs his guys to stay in their stance, to not come out early, because this option offense, it's not conducive to converting 3rd and long. They're not a passing offense. They have to stay on schedule.
3 false start penalties on the Yellow Jackets. Vad Lee try to show a little pass, buying a little time, firing. His receiver fell down, and is that picked off? They're going to talk it over.
Wow.
And they're saying it's an interception for the freshman Brandon Faison, his 4th of the year.
Tell you what, he broke on that ball big time and came back, and it hung up there for a second. Look at the layout. Did he get his hands underneath it, though? One hand out.
So what does that sound mean exactly, that you're not sure if he caught it?
It looked like his hands underneath it.
They're going to have a look at it in the replay booth. Ted Jackson and his crew going to see if Faison's interception stands up for the 2nd turnover of the night.
Appleby.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. Interception, 1st down, Virginia Tech.
Not enough video evidence to overturn the call, so the freshman Brandon Faison, who played his high school ball just down I-85 from here in Noonan, Georgia, gets his 4th pick of the year. That's tied for the #1 spot in the nation.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at that, and I'm going to be honest, guys. I think the football might have touched the ground, but I'm not 100% sure.
Exactly, you think.
So if you're a referee looking at that and you feel the same way, you cannot overturn that unless you have indisputable video evidence that football hit the ground.
But the great thing he did was he got his hands underneath the ball. So the ball didn't touch the ground until maybe he came on top of it, and it was hidden. That's why they said stands, and it didn't say confirmed.
Such a great play.
Nice break.
4 picks for the true freshman. We're entering week 5 of the college football season.
He leads the nation, so too does his defense with 10 interceptions, tying Northwestern for the most in the country. 2 possessions, 2 turnovers for Georgia Tech. Logan Thomas has it back, throws it behind Sam Rogers, and Rogers gets it across the 20. The walk-on freshman playing fullback, getting a starting role. And Logan Thomas going to run this Hokie offense. He's been much maligned the last couple of years. 2 seasons ago, many had him among the top potential draft choices when his NFL draft time came around, but he struggled the last 2 seasons. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns this year, but he certainly hasn't been helped by his receivers. He's off to a good start tonight. This is what he did against Georgia Tech 2 years ago in the stadium and just destroyed them. This time he's going to be stopped. It'll be 3rd down and short. In 2011, completed nearly 60% of his passes, good touchdown to interception ratio, but it started to decrease last year. A lot of turnovers, lost a couple of receivers, and this year, inexperienced running backs and weakness on the offensive line and poor receiver play at times all conspired. And Logan, I'm not trying to take it off him. He hasn't played great either.
No, he's had a lot of inexperience around him over the last year and a half. He's pressed a little bit, made bad decisions. Tonight, he has to just play within himself, not try and do too much.
Quarterback Snead 2 years ago was unstoppable. And there's a flag that flies. Let's see which way Georgia Tech thinks it's going to be against Virginia Tech, and it
Before
is.
the snap, false start, number 74 offense. 5 yards, 3rd down.
Yeah.
Frank Beamer, head coach at his alma mater, had a streak of 8 consecutive 10-win seasons snapped last year in his 27th year. He is the winningest active college football coach. 219 of his victories, 261 at all, 219 have come at his alma mater. Now Frank's looking at a 3rd and 6.
Obvious passing situation. We talked about the matchup. Left tackle Jonathan McLaughlin, only a true freshman, squaring off now against the best pass rusher for Georgia Tech, and Jeremiah Tauchu.
Logan has a little room, and then he doesn't. A Tauchu gets him. It'll be 4th down.
How costly of a penalty was that? As a play caller, 3rd and 1 with a 250-pound quarterback, a lot different
Yes,
than calling
please.
a play when it's 3rd and 6. And you see here at Tauchu, just a good job with the motor, keeping the play alive, pursuing, forcing a punt.
Now let's keep an eye on this too. Samantha Ponder told us this in the open. Jamal Golden, the normal punt returner for Georgia Tech, is out. So Tony Zenon back to return the punt. Very little experience doing so. Golden has handled virtually all of the return duties and not going to have to worry about it, I don't think. Well, maybe he will. He gets a nice little bounce, and then he gets clobbered. Whistles are being blown, and I think what happened there was Zenon gave the signal for everybody to get away, and when you give any type of waving signal, no matter where it is, the ball is dead. Georgia Tech has it back.
ESPN College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. Applebee's 2 for $20 menu just got even better with the new Honey Pepper Grill. And in part by Buick. Visit your local Buick dealer to see why thousands of people are switching to Buick each month.
In the heart of Atlanta, Georgia Tech has turned it over on both of its possessions. Virginia Tech turned one of them into a touchdown, and the Hokies are on top 7-0. Glad to have you with us. College football primetime served by Applebee's. Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, David Pollack, Samantha Ponder. Vad Lee threw an interception in his last possession. And Georgia Tech, I'm not sure what's going on with the cadence of the snap count, but this is going to be the 4th false start penalty tonight for the Yellow Jackets.
And the excuse can't be that you're running new plays, because Georgia Tech runs the same plays each and every week. You know, and they have it in their playbook. I mean, this is what they do every week, regardless if it's a short week.
And you can't say the crowd is affecting you because you're at home. So you definitely got to stop shooting yourself in the foot. It's okay. Calm down. Breathe.
I'd like to see the fans into it, aware of what's going on in the game. David Sims with a short gain on 1st down, and Georgia Tech really shot itself in the foot all night.
Yeah, they've had turnovers. The football's been on the ground. Vad Lee with an early fumble caused by Kyle Fuller. There was a throw out to receiver DeAndre Smelter, got put on the ground by Brandon Faison. And then, of course, this costly interception down in the red zone. Guys, moving forward, quarterback Vad Lee has to start faster in games. 2 weeks ago against Duke, he started 1 for 6 through a pick. Last week against UNC, 0 for 4. 4 total fumbles in each of those 2 games. He's got to take better care of the football.
James Gale will have none of that. It'll be 3rd and long. And in their first 2 possessions, they doubled their turnover total. But this is exhibit A of how you play.
Absolutely. Watch James Gale line up against the offensive lineman, just totally use his hands, shed the blocker, come outside. So what happens? With the option, you pick up an extra guy, right? Because you're running your quarterback. You win one-on-one battles. This is how you beat this team. You beat them up front.
And I think this is where Virginia Tech is now dangerous. We talked about how good this defensive line is. Now they know obvious passing situation. Remember, Georgia Tech not great at pass pro because they don't do it.
Pressure coming from the backside. It's Fuller. Badly gets away from both of the guys and tosses it into his sideline, and it'll be 4th and 13. Kyle Fuller was there applying the heat.
So you can see it's an absolute jailbreak up front. I mean, there's guys coming off the edge. Here's Kyle Fuller now. There's a lineman just falling down. No one even touches him. Gale back in the backfield again. Fuller gets up, makes a play. Bud Foster looking for the sack, His play sheet's like hanging off his belt. He'll take a throw. I get the football.
That's
back.
strategic. It's tied on to that belt.
That's smart.
Sean Poole is an exceptional punter for the Yellow Jackets. He only punted it 4 times, but averaging better than 46 yards per punt. Kyshawn Jarrett, it's a punt return for a touchdown in his career. Jarrett at his 10. Jarrett knocked down immediately. Excellent coverage. The Georgia Tech special teams. Down there first was DJ White. And Virginia Tech will be backed up at its own 9-yard line as we say hello to Scott Van Pelt.
Reese, good evening. Time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. The big one Saturday night in Columbus. As for Braxton Miller, Urban Meyer says he will probably start. Injured against San Diego State. They got a nice plan B, fellas, and Kenny Guyton, who's filled in quite capably. If Miller shows any signs of rust, that's a Saturday night one under the lights on ABC. Back to you guys. Enjoy.
God, that's going to be a good one. Melvin Gordon, explosive running back for the Badgers. Trey Edmonds at times has been explosive for Virginia Tech, but Atalchu on the stop. Wisconsin and Ohio State, 8 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. The aforementioned Melvin Gordon averaged double figures last year in yards per carry. He's doing it again this year. He's leading the nation in rushing. And Urban Meyer basically taking a page from the Ric Flair playbook, saying if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Wisconsin's been the man. 3 straight Rose Bowl appearances. What a scene that's going to be in a shoe on Saturday night.
And the right decision by Urban Meyer to start Braxton Miller.
You don't believe in Wally Pipp, huh? Logan Thomas been very patient, throwing underneath to Calvin Klein. He's probably your favorite player in college football.
What do you say? Why? Because I wear Calvin. What are you saying? Aficionado?
Stylish man, right?
Spelled differently, by the way.
It is.
Reverse spelling for Calvin Klein.
And, you know, Klein is a guy who only played 1 year of high school football.
Yeah.
He was a basketball player in high school, was getting some recruiting notice from mid-majors. Played a year of high school football, got the Hokies' attention, now playing tight end. Getting some run early in his career. 3rd and 4 for Logan Thomas. Thomas taking a shot. It's Dimitri Knowles, and Dimitri Knowles with the grab. Was covered by Lewis Young, but Knowles, the speedster from the Bahamas, has the big pickup of 28.
Dimitri Knowles has to be the guy that provides the spark and explosive plays. He's the fastest wide receiver for Virginia Tech. They're doing a nice job changing up the pace and the speed in the go route, getting the corner. Lewis Young turned around.
And I tell you what, that had nothing to do with Knowles. We got to give Logan Thomas his props. He dropped that perfectly right in the bucket. He struggled, but that was a great throw.
You can't say it had nothing to do with him when he caught the ball.
He hit his number. It stuck to him.
Didn't give him a choice.
Anybody could have caught that. Come on.
Underneath, another completion. It's Byrne. Byrne racing for Georgia Tech territory. Gets it to the 46. That'll be enough for a first down as we get inside a half-minute to play in the first quarter.
Logan Thomas spins it deep and then does a great job seeing a crossing pattern and going to a second option, not forcing the ball down the field. That's something that he struggled with in the past. Just continue to take what the defense gives you.
But I'm not so sure Georgia Tech anticipated Virginia Tech coming out and slinging it around this much. I think they thought they would try and establish the run a little bit sooner. Right now, Logan Thomas in a good rhythm. They're throwing it on first down, unpredictable, looking pretty good.
Thomas came into this night completing less than 50% of his passes. He hasn't missed yet. Hokies are on top 7-0, and they're driving for more as we get set to start the second quarter from here in Atlanta. Hokies and Yellow Jackets will play on when you come back. Now for tonight's weekend menu brought to you by Applebee's. And I mean, it's an absolute gluttony of big-time games on Saturday. LSU and Georgia, that's where College game day will be Saturday morning. As the Bayou Bengals and the Dogs square off between the hedges. Oklahoma and Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Alabama and Ole Miss.
The antithesis of last weekend.
You cannot wait.
You saying we should spread the wealth on the schedule a little bit, David?
My God.
Virginia Tech, we open the second quarter with a 7-0 lead. Logan Thomas hits his 7th consecutive pass. Dimitri Knowles making the catch, getting close to the 40.
We talked a lot about how tough it would be for Virginia Tech defensively in a short week to get ready for the option. But I'll tell you what, it's been tough on Georgia Tech defensively because Scott Loeffler, the offensive coordinator of Virginia Tech, he's got a lot of volume of offense on tape. You're going to see pro-style formations, the pistol. You'll see option. You'll see quarterback run, zone read, 5 wide. This is a lot to get prepared for in a short week.
That's true, but Virginia Tech is executing that offense better than it has at any point this season prior to tonight. Knowles, the speed, looking for the edge, and Dimitri's not going to find it. He's run out of bounds at the 40. It'll bring up 3rd down and 5. There is Scott Loeffler in his first season as the offensive coordinator at Virginia Tech. He was at Auburn last year, former Michigan quarterback. And Frank Beamer really made a lot of changes to his staff, admitted that maybe things had gotten a little bit stale, brought in 3 new assistants, and it's going to take a little time for it to gel.
No doubt, and it had gotten stale. I mean, you watch the offense in the past, and you kind of wondered what their identity was. And this year, they're still learning and they're still growing, but tonight, so far, so good. No reason to sit down. Stand up in that booth.
At least they're multiple now.
Thomas on 3rd down. Firing, complete, 1st down, Byrne. Staying on his feet and picking up a few more yards. They'll mark him out of bounds at the 26. It'll be 1st and 10.
It's the second time on this drive we've seen tremendous location on the throw by Logan Thomas. Targeting Willie Byrne here, just putting that thing outside, away from the defender and giving his receiver an opportunity to make something positive happen. We saw it earlier on the back shoulder to Dimitri Knowles. Logan Thomas very accurate right now, spinning the magic bean.
Loeffler was talking yesterday about his improvement in body position, helping his accuracy. Been 100% so far tonight. George Whitfield just walked into the stadium. We'll talk to him later tonight. As a flag flies as Thomas carries it. Whitfield, as I'm sure most of you know, is a quarterback guru that has worked with just about everybody from Andrew Luck to Johnny Manziel to Logan Thomas. And we'll hear from George later on in the broadcast tonight. See what the flag was.
Illegal shift on the offense. Number 14 and 83, both moving, did not get set before the snap. That's a 5-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Replay, 1st down.
A couple of first-year players, Trey Edmonds and Charlie Meyer, didn't get set.
You know, there's a lot of pressure on Virginia Tech in this game offensively. Playing against an option offense, you have to make your possessions count because you don't know how many possessions, how many plays you're going to get in this game. Georgia Tech likes to play keep away, so when you get down here in the scoring area, you have to make it count.
Thomas gets rid of it. Knowles has it. Knowles, 1st down inside the 20. He's down close to the 10. They'll mark him down about the 9-yard line, and it'll be 1st and goal for Virginia Tech.
And the red zone offense has really been where Virginia Tech has struggled this year. Only 8 for 16 with respect to scoring touchdowns on those drives. Not very good, but another shallow cross dialed up by Loeffler. And we're seeing right now this offense doing a good job getting the football in the hands of their most explosive wide receiver, Dimitri Knowles.
Jesse mentioned the red zone struggles. 2 of those scores have been field goals. Only 8 of them touchdowns, 50% in touchdowns.
Give it to 3. The struggles will go away a little bit.
But they did in triple overtime last week, and they're doing it now. Logan Thomas to the 5.
I mean, that's not fun to tackle. I'm sorry. I mean, he outweighs the linebackers for Georgia Tech once he gets ahead of steam. And you know what? He's not afraid to lower the boom. I mean, Logan Thomas is a physical quarterback, so I use him in the red zone as my tailback.
How many times can they run him tonight, though? He ran it 5 days ago, 23 times against Marshall. Put that in perspective. Le'Veon Bell led the nation last year, carrying it 29 times.
Well, it was triple overtime, too.
Yeah, you need it.
A couple extra periods.
David, I think you got to get him to do it, but he's going to have to be tough tonight.
Pick your spots, and red zone's a pretty good spot. So they'll run him again. Logan looking for the goal line. He stretches the ball out. Touchdown, Virginia Tech.
The best red zone offenses in the country, and we say this every week, guys, are the ones that run the football the best. He provides the biggest physical presence to this offense. As we take a look at this again, yeah, it's a touchdown.
Well, we got to see his elbow, his other elbow. I can't see it behind Knowles.
Take a look at that again. Look, you know his knees didn't touch.
And they're going to have
any
a look.
part of his legs touched before that football crossed.
Elbow counts as a knee, so.
The ruling on the field was a touchdown.
I have to look at it from the other angle, and here it is. So we'll see if.
Look at him lower his shoulder,
up.
See?
Oh.
Elbow down, but where's the football?
The question is where the football is,
yeah.
because from that angle, it's tough to tell whether it had crossed the plane.
Again, the call on the field, touchdown. Need indisputable video evidence.
Okay, it's down there, so it's
There's
short.
it down. Yeah, I think they're going to mark that down about a half-yard line. Pollock, you've got the eagle-eye vision from up here. But even if he didn't score, based on what we've seen,
you'll
just run it again.
You know right now what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But now keep in mind, against Marshall, they got stuffed on 4th and short. They got stuffed. It's happened twice. It happened against East Carolina also. You would expect with a 250-pound quarterback that those are automatics. Hasn't necessarily been the case, though, this year for Virginia Tech.
Well, I like him better in the gun. I like him when you give him an option to be able to read it and then get him a little bit ahead of steam going downhill, because he's not afraid to lower his shoulder. But
After further review, the ruling on the field stands as called. Touchdown.
Wow.
So much for that eagle eye
Hey,
vision.
you know what? You know what? Knowles gets the MVP on that one because he's blocking the way. Nice job, Knowles. Couldn't see the elbow. I thought he was down a little bit short, but.
That rushing touchdown ties Tyrod Taylor for the Virginia Tech record. Rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. The Hokies can go up 14-0 after the 10-play, 91-yard drive. Jernell puts it through, and the Yellow Jackets find themselves in a familiar position. Twice on Saturday, they were down by 2 touchdowns against North Carolina. They came back to win the game. Things haven't gone well for Georgia Tech tonight. See what they have to rally when you come back. And Scott, we're going to see Iowa State next week against Texas on Thursday Night Football as we stroll into Jack Trice Stadium. Right now, Logan Thomas and the Hokies have waltzed right into Bobby Dodd Stadium, historic Grant Field, and they've jumped on top 14-0. Snoddy will down at the end zone. Jackets will have it on the 25 as we check in with Samantha Ponder.
Reese, a lot of time for this Georgia Tech offense during that last drive to communicate about the issues they were having. Vadley, one of the younger guys on the offense, telling his guys, you need to grow up and wake up. The defensive coaches mostly just saying to their guys that they need to focus on individual assignments first. And the guy Paul Johnson individually came over to and had a few words with. That would be the right tackle, number 53, Brian Chamberlain. Keep an eye on him here.
Yeah, Sam, I mean, right now, they just got to get out of their own way. All of the false start penalties, they put the football on the ground twice, thrown a pick. You got to stay on schedule.
See the breaking Vad sign. Yellow Jacket fans hoping this isn't the final episode for Vad Lee. That did not look pretty, but Godhigh is going to make chicken salad and pick up a couple of yards. Jack Tyler, Luther Maddie on the stop. First 2 drives resulted in turnovers that doubled the Yellow Jackets' turnover total from their first 3 games. And then they had to punt the last time they had it. Now looking at 2nd and 8.
And Bud Foster's defenses do that. That's what they do. They put pressure on you. They got guys raking the football. Remember, another possession, the football was on the floor because they pulled the ball out. So you got to make sure that guy, he coaches them up.
Foster's defenses, or the entire team, they're 4-1 against Paul Johnson. He's been at Georgia Tech. Van Lee with completion. Waller makes the catch. He stopped just short of the first down. So the Yellow Jackets really need to keep this drive going as the officials stop the clock. We've got Tariq Edwards down on the play. He's the senior linebacker who's had his share of injury problems over the past couple of years. Had a rod inserted in his left tibia to deal with stress fractures. Had another procedure last season, that first surgery coming in 2011, and right now, coming into this season, Tariq felt as healthy as he had been, although I'm not sure that's the case at this particular moment. 3rd and short. This is where the Yellow Jacket offense should specialize. Deion Clark checks in for Edwards. It's not quite a full yard they have to get. Quarterback sneak, first down, Georgia Tech. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. A.J. McCarron and the #1 team in the land, Alabama, taking on Ole Miss. We'll kick it off at 6:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. It is also available on the Watch ESPN app. A lot was made in the offseason about the difficulties that Hugh Freeze's team gave Alabama last year. Bo Wallace and company with that quick-paced offense. Their freshmen have been outstanding. Van Lee keeps it for a very short game. Kim Dichie, who's from not far away here in the state of Georgia, the defensive end for Ole Miss, has been terrific. They could get his brother Denzel back. You see Alabama's dominated this series, having won 9 straight, 46-9-2 all time, and the Rebels going in with a lot of confidence Saturday night.
And chirping a little bit. I mean, Bo Wallace saying that he likes his wide receivers, and he should. Hugh Freeze talked about it all offseason, about how much kind of confidence they got playing against Bama. We're going into Tuscaloosa.
Van Lee wanted to get rid of it quickly. Now he's going to air out a long one. Got a man out there, and the grab is made by DeAndre Smelter. That is just what Georgia Tech needed.
Talked about how Vad Lee was the best thrower in the Paul Johnson era, and on this play you get an opportunity to see the arm talent from the sophomore quarterback. Tremendous protection, guys getting cut blocked up front. Lee does a nice job buying time.
And how about Smelter stopping at the top of his route, seeing his quarterback's about to chuck it, makes the quarterback hesitate, and then he goes up and gets it. Nice play.
A pickup of 41. Now if the Jackets can just take care of the football and avoid the penalty flags.
Full start, number 70, offense. 5 yards, replay, first down.
Another one on Shaquille Mason.
You know, it shouldn't really surprise anybody that Vad Lee has success throwing the football in this system. You know, he didn't run the option in high school at Hillside, North Carolina, threw for over 5,000 yards during his career there, led them to a 16-0 state title back in 2010. It's actually the opposite. This is only his 3rd year running the option, which he still struggles at sometimes with the reads, misses some of the mechanics, but you can't deny the arm talent. He just showed it off 2 plays ago.
Fuller was showing that blitz. Georgia Tech picks it up. Lee firing to the end zone, looking for Smelter, but he's out of bounds. It'll be 2nd and 15. Might not surprise you about Lee's performance, but I'll tell you what does surprise me. You're looking at a Georgia Tech offensive line as you have a look at Smelter being out of bounds on the catch. Needs to try to drag that foot if he can. That offensive line has 3 fifth-year seniors and another guy who's a 4th-year junior, and I know they're not responsible for all of the false starts, but they've been responsible for some. They haven't been the steadying influence you'd like to see.
Well, they got to dial in. So they stop these 2nd and 15s and 3rd and longs, because Dave, you and I just talked about this offense, it's not built to convert those. You surprise the other team with passes.
Can't do that either.
Delay a game, offense. 5 yards, 2nd down.
And some of the fans starting to get restless, and they're not nearly as restless as the head ball coach.
This is what Paul Johnson does. He's not a big substitution guy, but he'll just put one guy in, and he gives him exact instructions. He'll tell the play, to Vad Lee, and he might sometimes tell him exactly what to do. Keep the football, pitch the football, look at this guy, throw to this guy. Makes it very specific for his quarterback.
He didn't draw up many for 2nd and 20, though.
Lee swallowed up. 3rd and 20, maybe 3rd and 21. What about the way James Gale continues to play the quarterback when he comes down the line, David?
That's so good in the, I mean, this defensive line is just so good. And you saw it week 1 against Bama, but just aggressive, attacking. And it does show problems for this Georgia Tech offensive line because they're physical enough. They're strong enough at the point of attack, but then they can still run things down. And it doesn't help when you start shooting yourself in the foot.
And they're playing assignment football because they're experienced. We talked about it. 9 juniors and seniors are starters, including James Gale. This is 4th time now playing this offense. He knows his assignments. Kyle Fuller, same way.
Try to get some back for the field goal right here.
May get out of field goal range if Vad Lee doesn't get rid of it. He heaves it up. Smelter's out there. Faison was covering him, and for a second, it looked as if perhaps Georgia Tech had the opportunity. It was Jack Tyler applying the heat to Vad Lee.
And this is the problem. They're not great pass protectors up front, but they always have quarterbacks that can scramble around and buy a little bit of time and make it tough on your defense in the back end, because you always do. Most of the time you're playing man coverage against this offense.
Georgia Tech's going to try to get on the board. Harrison Butker is going to try a 49-yarder that would match his career long. He's 1 for 3 on field goals this season. It's on the way. Toe meets leather, and it's through the uprights, and the Yellow Jackets are on the board. So Georgia Tech salvages something out of that drive, but now the Yellow Jacket defense has to find a way to deal with this man. Logan Thomas has been on fire, hit all 9 of his pass attempts. Hokies have it back when you come back.
Just the chicken sandwich.
At Georgia Tech, if you want to build a solar-powered car, you can do it. And they do just that. What we wait to see is whether the Yellow Jackets have another rally from a double-digit deficit as they had on Saturday against North Carolina. Perhaps a little confidence booster getting the field goal on that drive. Virginia Tech with a 14-3 lead. Dimitri Knowles on the return. Knowles being chased out of bounds at the 20. So Logan Thomas has performed brilliantly in the first quarter and a half of this game, hitting all 9 of his passes. George Whitfield is a quarterback engineer who's worked with just about everybody, including our 2 quarterbacks here tonight, Johnny Manziel, Andrew Luck, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Murray, among the guys who have worked with George. George joins us now on the sideline, coming to see a couple of his pupils play. George, what do you see from the way Logan Thomas has played so far tonight?
He's got a nice rhythm going, and sometimes I know that sounds very generic, but offensively, Coach Leffler has really set him up well tonight. I know I had a chance to talk to him a couple times during the week this week, and he just seems pretty grounded, and he knows there's only really one way for this offense to go, and that's put up. But he's got a nice rhythm going, hit some nice rhythm shots, and then the name of the game is confidence. Once you get that going, you can kind of settle down a little bit.
George, as we just saw Logan have his first incomplete pass, what was his biggest weakness that he needed to work on in this offseason?
Well, it has been, and he's still a work in progress at it. It's just fundamentals. Take off and go.
And Logan Thomas is into the open field. He'll be chased out of bounds as he crosses the 45. George, that's not a weakness. He's a dual threat guy. He can be dangerous with his feet after he picked up 26.
Right. No, that is certainly not the weakness. It's just continuing to bolt down all the mechanics and elements of playing quarterback. Remember, 80% of his quarterback life has He only played part of his senior year at quarterback in high school. So all his growth and development and bumps and bruises at the position have come on a stage like this. I mean, that's pretty challenging.
After the 26-yard run, Thomas back to Willie Byrne, who's been his favorite target, and Byrne making some nifty moves to pick up the first down, move the chains. They'll mark it down at the 41 of Georgia Tech. We do have a player down on the field, and it is Byrne, who just made the reception a little slow to get up. So George Whitfield looking on. Jesse and David are here. Jesse, you've watched Logan Thomas develop over the years. What types of things do you see in terms of areas that in which he needs to improve and areas in which he's made some strides?
Well, I think you heard just George talk about it. I think it's mechanics. I think some of his decision-making at times has also been questionable. I think he's tried to force things a little bit in the last year and a half, playing with guys with a lot of inexperience, not always playing with a great offensive line in front of him, not always playing with wide receivers that can get open, and I think at times he's just tried to do too much and not let the game come to him.
And how much of that was, though, when he was young in his first season? Remember, he had that supporting cast with 2 NFL receivers and a good offensive line, and David Wilson at running back. It becomes easy. Right. Jesse, it's get it to the playmakers, let them work. Right. Now he's got to be the guy he's got to be the straw stirring the drink.
That's right.
Thomas hands it off. Chris Mangus, the scat back's going to lose a couple. George, when you have someone in Logan's situation who had a lot of NFL-level talent around him at receiver and some good offensive linemen, and then things changed, and all of a sudden he doesn't have that, what do you advise him? What do you talk to him about in terms of maintaining his poise, maintaining his mechanics?
Well, immediately, I think Jesse and David just touched on it. You want him to stay within the framework of the offense. You don't have to go out and be Superman to overcome, you know, that talent gap that you did have before. Then beyond that, you got to have consistency. Your feet have to know where they go on every play. You got to have a plan with the football every play.
He threw it to DJ Coles a little bit behind him. And Tamia Thomas breaking it up. It'll be 3rd down and 13.
And guys, there's no denying his talent. I mean, he's a freakish athlete for a guy that's 6'5", 250 pounds. He has arm strength. He can make throws that 95% of starting quarterbacks in the NFL cannot make. There's a reason why people thought after 2011 that he was going to be a lock top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Now here's an example, 3rd and long. He can't try and force a throw. Be smart. If the only play's a punt, then that's what you do.
Pressure coming. They get to him, and they sack him. Euclid Cummings sacks Logan Thomas. It'll be 4th down. Hokies will have to punt it away.
It's a lot different looking pass rush when the defense knows it's going to be a pass. 3rd and long, and you see big rush inside. And then in protection, Euclid Cummings was being blocked by a running back. Schematically, that's not very sound for Virginia Tech. You can't have a running back close to 200 pounds blocking a D tackle that's 275.
Actually, Ted Roof schematically loves that matchup. You want to get your D lineman isolated on a running back.
Ted Roof, the defensive coordinator for Georgia Tech. And the right pressure dialed up. Heat coming on the punter. And A.J. Hughes gets it out of there. Zenon's going to let it hit. And it'll bounce into the end zone for a touchback. George Whitfield, quarterback guru extraordinaire. Thanks for spending some time with us as Logan Thomas has put together a solid first half. Georgia Tech will try to get one on the board before the break.
Interview. I was just talking.
that was our show meeting.
I was just talking with an anchor there.
I was sitting across from him, and he was yelling at me the whole time.
Put a quarter in him. He could eat up ground just like the Georgia Tech offense when it's rolling. Van Lee fires complete. Another catch for Smelter, and the old baseball player who's still going to play baseball makes another grab. With the Jackets, they haven't been sharp on offense so far. They've had 5 false start penalties, a delay of game. Lee threw an interception, and he lost a fumble.
But they have a chance to get back into it. It's because of plays you just saw. That lead gives this offense, I think, a different dimension than it's ever had here at Georgia Tech under Paul Johnson because of his ability throwing it. They can find chunk yardage throwing and running. A lot of game left.
A little wrinkle to the pistol look. Lee swarmed up by Hokies, lost 1 or 2. It'll be 2nd and long. J.R. Collins, first time we've called his name tonight, but he typically plays very well against Georgia Tech also.
I agree. He gives a new dimension, but this is an offense that's not built for pass blocking. It's built for run blocking. It's built for 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 72 yards when you get on discipline. So I think it's still still got to stick to the run. I'm not saying Vad Lee needs to start spinning around all over the field. Stick to what you do best.
This is what the Jackets usually do best. Zach Lasky turning the corner and knocked out of bounds. Excellent pickup. Third and very manageable after the good run of 9, maybe 10 from Lasky.
And not triple option, speed option.
Right.
You know, that defensive end, now you don't have to put him in this position where he can crash down and make you read. You just read him real quick, run at him, threaten him, and then make a decision.
And David, that's one of the things as you watch this team, they really don't run a lot of true triple option because Lee's not really ready to do it right now.
No, they ran it, I think, 8 times last week against North Carolina. It's not all triple option. Paul Johnson, he does all kinds of stuff. You'll see him get in the diamond shotgun. You'll see some quick throws. I mean, you see all kinds of stuff, not just triple option in this offense.
Lasky picked up 11. Lee lost it. Swarming through there was Jack Tyler. We've talked about the number of tackles last year, 17 of them. He was in the backfield to hit Lee for a loss.
We talked about this again. They have to find a way to get a body on Jack Tyler. This happened way too often last year, going sideline to sideline without a gold helmet, getting onto him somehow, some way, whether it's interior lineman, whether it's the B-backs or the A-back outside. They have to find a way.
But there's no way to get somebody on him when Fuller's flying in there eating up blockers.
Well, look, it's 4th down and 4, and Georgia Tech left its offense on the field. We'll see if they snap it.
They're going to try to get him off sides here, something they do. Try rapid movement. Good job by Virginia Tech defensively.
This game turned a couple of years ago when Johnson failed to convert a 4th down in his own end, but that was in the second half. This time it was pure decoy, and Virginia Tech will have it one more time before halftime. Hokies up 14-3. See if they can tack on a little more before the half. Vad Lee has carried the ball 7 times for -7 yards. He's been tackled for loss 4 times.
We've seen early in this game, Kyle Fuller has been the guy responsible for the dive, forcing Vad Lee to keep the football.
Yeah, and I like what Virginia Tech's doing. Watch, freeze it right there if you can see it from the top. You got everybody in a gap. You got your big defensive tackle here eating up space. You got Fuller coming in here. And then you get Jack Tyler that gets to scrape free. Everybody's got a gap. He gets to roam and make plays.
And that's the key, is keeping your middle linebacker clean. That's going to be the adjustment game here as this game continues. Can Paul Johnson find a way to get a hat on Jack Tyler? Can Bud Foster continue to find ways to keep his middle linebacker clean?
Sean Poole takes it away. Sean Jarrett not going to field it. Georgia Tech will let it roll, and it continues to roll. Very effective punt from Poole that pins the Hokies back inside their own 10. A 51-yard punt. Got a $1:45 left to go in the first half as we check in with Scott Van Pelt.
RD, the Land Rover halftime report. Alabama ranked #1. They get a visit from the Rebels, who are unbeaten, are the Tide on upset alert. Braxton Miller's status for the game with Wisconsin coming in. Mark Man, Brian Greasy alongside. We'll make some picks on the weekend games, including that Buckeyes-Badgers tilt, Notre Dame against Oklahoma as well. See you in about minute 45, let's call it.
Right on it, Scott. So the 1st and 10 inside your own 10. Logan Thomas has been hot. The Hokies will keep it on the ground, wanting to take a chance at a turnover to give Georgia Tech some life here before the break, but the Yellow Jackets will burn a timeout. So Georgia Tech hoping to get it back one more time before the half. 1:39 to play. Hokies up by 11. .99 seconds remaining to play in the first half. Virginia Tech has its 2nd and 8. Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, David Pollock, and Samantha Ponder. Glad you're spending your Thursday night with us on what is an absolutely spectacular evening in Atlanta. Though the home team hasn't enjoyed the proceedings so far. Georgia Tech has a timeout left. Just used their 2nd one of the half. Logan Thomas will keep it on the ground. Trey Edmonds is met in the backfield. Adam Gotsis got his man.
Virginia Tech up front is having issues with the interior of the defensive line from Georgia Tech. We saw Euclid Cummings with a sack to force a punt in the last drive. Adam Gotsis coming all the way from Australia, showing good penetration, getting in the backfield, setting up 3rd and long.
And Paul Johnson used his final timeout, so assuming they can get a stop here, they will at least have time for a couple of plays, perhaps, before the half.
Yeah, and I like the decision by Frank Beamer and company, too. I mean, I know Logan Thomas has been scorching hot in his first half and played well, but I like where I'm sitting. I get the ball at the half. I know Virginia Tech fans will probably scream at the TV, air it out. I like what my defense is doing. I like the strategy. Run it, make them burn their timeouts. Make Paul Johnson in this triple option offense do a 1-minute drill on me with no timeouts.
Hitting the gas this weekend, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series goes to Dover. Coverage starting on ESPN Sunday at 1 Eastern Time. Matt Kenseth in the chase for the Cup. He's been red hot. He's won the first 2 races. Only 36 points separating the top 4 drivers. 11 points separating the Hokies and the Yellow Jackets. Logan Thomas swarmed by the Jackets. Brandon Watts was first. It'll be 4th down. Well, the ball came out late. I believe they're going to mark forward progress stopped.
All right, well, a lot of fans out there thinking, yeah, you know, this is a spread option attack. As we take a look to see if the ball came out before his knee. You see his knee down right there. It's not going to be a fumble. But Georgia Tech actually in the last 2 games has done very well on 2-minute situations on offense. At the end of halves against Duke and against North Carolina, they drove the field and scored. They've got a very good kicker in Harrison Butker. I mean, I think in years past you go, yeah, you know, you can't find the plays. It's not an offense built to go in the 2-minute. It has been a little bit different in the last 2 games. We'll see.
But this is a little different animal on defense as well.
Yes, it is.
So Beamer let the clock bleed down, run off the 40 seconds on the play clock. So 45 seconds remaining in the first half. Virginia Tech used the timeout. Line of scrimmage is at the 10. So that means they'll punt it from their own end zone. Zenon is back to receive the boot from A.J. Hughes. And this is where Georgia Tech would love nothing more than to give Beamer ball a little taste of its own medicine. Hughes gets it out of there.
That's a good one.
Beautiful punt. Zenon fields it. Fair catch at his own 45. So with 38 seconds remaining after the 45-yard punt, Georgia Tech has no timeouts. Not necessarily a passing offense, but we know that they have some range in terms of the field goal. 49-yarder's already been hit.
And they have some big wide receivers, Reese. Remember, DeAndre Smelter, 6'2", 220. Darren Waller, 6'5", 225. We saw him on tape go climb the ladder on a post throw against UNC for a big score late in that half. So
James Gale and J.R. Collins get to tee off now.
It's 42 and 99 on either side. The defensive line. Oh, complete and a little running room for a second for Darren Waller. Good pickup and smartly getting out of bounds. Brandon Faison chases him out after a pickup of 15. 32 seconds remaining in the half.
And that's the play call you want in a passing offense. In this sort of situation, no timeouts. Get it to the perimeter of the field. Allow your receiver an opportunity to get out of bounds. Stop the clock.
Cornerbacks have to challenge.
Yep.
You can't give them a 10-yard cushion. I mean, you could take that every time.
Except you get worried about getting beat deep.
That's why you
swimming on press.
There's somebody over top of you. You just do your job at the line of scrimmage.
Pressure coming from the corner. It's Faison. Lee gets rid of it just in time. And what a grab. Oh, they're ruling it incomplete. Waller went up and caught it. They say he was out of bounds.
That's what I'm talking about with this size at wide receiver, whether it was Demarius Thomas, whether it was Stephen Hill. Georgia Tech.
What about Megatron?
Georgia Tech is always, yeah, but that wasn't in the option offense. They've always had a guy that can climb the ladder regardless of your coverage. They're dangerous, and they barely missed a huge play on offense there.
And I think also what you saw there was a little bit of lack of finesse at the wide receiver position. Throw the ball around a little bit more. Waller had an opportunity to get the 1 foot down in bounds, but the other one came down first, accurately called by the official. Lee unloads again for Waller. It's too high. 21 seconds, 20 now with a 3rd and 10.
And Reese, I agree with you, and you know what comes with that is reps. You're not used to throwing the ball around and getting your feet in bounds, and you're used to, blocking, hitting a home run ball every now and then, and that's what you get a little bit is a lot more drops in this offense when you have to pass because you're not getting the jugs machine firing at you every day in practice.
Now here's something else. We saw Butker kick the 49-yard field goal earlier in the half. In order to have the opportunity for that, they need to pick up about 8 yards here. Faison coming on the pressure. Lee has it batted down, so the clock will stop, but it'll be 4th and 10. It was Faison coming off the corner. He has an interception tonight, and he's been very active for the freshman.
Some people sit back and prevent. Some people sit back. Bud Foster brings cornerback blitzes. I'm coming to get you. What are you going to do about it?
Well, you just said earlier that Faison needed to take up the cushion, so Bud maybe thought, okay, if he won't take up the cushion, I'll just let him rush the quarterback.
Just go get him.
So out of Butker's field goal range, with 14 seconds remaining in the half, Georgia Tech will try to pick up the first down. If they can pick up the first down, get the clock stopped, perhaps another opportunity to take a shot at the end zone.
You have to anticipate pressure.
And it's coming. Underneath, incomplete. And the Hokies will take over.
Here's the thing. Now you've given Virginia Tech the football back near midfield. Logan Thomas can reach the end zone on 2 knees from that distance.
But if he does that, then he'll be down.
That's right.
One knee he'd be down,
but
actually.
He's maybe one of the only quarterbacks in the country that if he finds the time, you've got a legit shot at a Hail Mary here from your own 40.
So it'd be 65. He can throw it 65, 70, get in the end zone?
No doubt.
No problem.
He has Jamarcus Russell-like arm strength.
Cordell Stewart type arm strength.
Crazy arm strength.
What did Cordell throw, 70 for that Hail Mary?
And I wonder here on prevent, if you're Georgia Tech, sometimes we see these defenses put their big, tall receivers back there to knock it down. See what happens. This could be interesting. Logan's a good athlete. He can buy time, run around. I guarantee he's got the arm strength to reach this.
Well, a lot of guys deep for Georgia Tech. Walked it up and still giving some room. Kind of making sure nobody gets behind him. Thomas going to fire one underneath. It's complete. Clock will stop. Well, they move the chains, and Virginia Tech has timeouts anyway, so they'll use one.
All right, so now
he definitely has the arm strength.
Now he can throw it sitting down.
On his back.
Yeah.
That was Josh Stanford making the catch. Stanford, a Canadian native who moved to the greater Atlanta area to play his high school football, making the grab and at least giving Virginia Tech with an opportunity at least to throw one to the end zone with 4 seconds left in the half.
It's been a more aggressive day calling plays for Scott Loeffler than I think I would have anticipated coming into this game. They threw the football a lot early. They've thrown it a lot on first down. And I agree with it. The way Logan Thomas is in a rhythm right now and the way he's making decisions, the way he's protected the football and kept this offense out of trouble, why not?
I also think he's designed it properly. He's just snuck Cole in at tight end, did a little throw across the field. You saw the quick screen passes to Knowles. Not a lot of big shots, but good job Logan Thomas recognizing things and getting the ball out of his hand.
Thomas steps up, going to unload it, going toward the end zone, trying to bat it down, and Georgia Tech does. There are a lot of guys down there, including Daddy Nicholas, the defensive end, big number 90. They sent him in there. He's 6'3", got some speed.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy didn't get a chance to haul it in. He stayed in bounds, too. 14-3, Virginia Tech has the lead. Let's check in with Samantha Ponder, who's with Paul Johnson.
Coach, obviously not the start you were hoping for.
No, we just got to settle down and play our own worst enemy. 4 motion penalties, 2 turnovers. It would be hard for us to play worse on offense.
Where was the breakdown when it came to the false starts?
I have no idea. They just snap count, just jumping.
You said Vadley had to be more consistent tonight. What difference do you need to see?
Well, right now he's not playing great. He can play better than that, and everybody else can too.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Sam, at halftime of the North Carolina game, the defensive coaches for Georgia Tech told their charges, you can't play worse than you did in the first half, and they came out and answered the bell in the second. Can the Jacket offense do it this time around? We send you to the Land Rover halftime report.
Reese, thanks.
Welcome to ESPN's College Football Primetime, served by Applebee's. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Night has fallen in Atlanta. Georgia Tech trying to rally from a 14-3 halftime deficit against Virginia Tech. These two ACC Coastal Division powers, two teams that have dominated that division going head-to-head. What about the Home Depot coaching adjustments for the second half?
Virginia Tech quarterback Logan Thomas is in a rhythm right now, and offensive coordinator Scott Leffler has helped him get into that with some easy completions early. But Logan Thomas has been smart, taking care of the football. He's found explosive plays like this one to Dimitri Knowles downfield. He was a force running the football in the red zone as well. He's got to continue that momentum. They're going to need him to make big plays in the second half.
And Bud Foster got it started. He came up with Kyle Fuller. They put him at the whip for this game, and you saw it immediately paying dividends, forcing turnovers, flying all over the field, getting the ball to his offense, and holding this Georgia Tech offense to 3 in the first half.
About set to kick off the second half. Hokies will have it first. Harrison Butker drives it, almost a perfect kickoff, but instead it goes out of bounds, and Virginia Tech will have excellent field position to start the second half. Here's Samantha Ponder.
Reese, I chased down Frank Beamer, and I literally mean chase. He is very fast for his age. He said his quarterback has been playing tremendous. Speaking of Logan Thomas, saying he hopes that will draw some more attention so he can get other guys involved. He also said David Wang, James Gale, and Willie Byrne, all guys that got banged up there in the first half, they are all okay. Byrne will be wearing a pad on his knee, but very happy with how his offense is performing. And in terms of complacency, he said it's not an issue. This team's already been through a lot.
Sam, Frank trimmed up a couple of years ago. It's helped his quickness and his foot speed to avoid sideline reporters. Not that anybody would want to avoid Sam.
I'll tell you who has great foot speed for a guy his age, Lee Corso.
I put his 40 up against anybody his age.
You might be the how old is he? He must be. He's one of the 5 fastest 70-year-olds in America. I guarantee it.
I agree with that statement.
Old Sunshine Scooter still has the wheels. So too does Beamer. See if the wheels can keep rolling for his offense as they put it in play from their own 35. Jamia Thomas coming with pressure, didn't get there. First completion out to Calvin Klein, a stylish first down play.
Logan Thomas has looked great, guys, but I do think they have to find a balance on offense here in the second half. They have to be able to run the football. Only 32 rushing yards in that first half, and I think a lot of those rushing yards are going to have to come from Logan Thomas.
No. I think the balance is Logan throws, Logan runs. That's the balance Virginia Tech's going to have to be successful. Receivers have to make plays, but it's going to be him in the running game.
Second down and 4. Thomas, Knowles complete, first down into Georgia Tech territory and knocked out of bounds. Here are the first half statistics. Virginia Tech with the 11-point lead. Georgia Tech averages 345 yards per game rushing. They had only 62, 149 passing yards for Logan Thomas in the first half. He's added 20 more here in the second. And for this Georgia Tech defense right now, as they've given up a first down, over its last 5 games dating to last year, they've given up 7 second-half points. They'll need to be just as stout here in the second half. This offense, as the guys have mentioned, from the Yellow Jackets, really not built to overcome huge deficits. Plenty of time for Thomas, and he tried to dump it off. A late flag comes in. Thomas was looking for Trey Edmonds out of the backfield.
Holding on the offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
That's Andrew Miller, the senior right guard.
And it wouldn't have mattered because of the holding penalty, but this is the inconsistency that we talk about with Logan Thomas. Watch his footwork in the pocket. Obviously, he's going through his progressions, kind of steps back, kind of flings it off his back foot, inaccurate. That's a throw that he has to make.
Thomas was sharp in the first half. He's now 13 of 16 on the night. A first and 20. Hokies backed up in their own territory after the penalty. They'll ride it and give it to Chris Mangus. No room at all. Jamia Thomas on the stop.
It's no secret, Virginia Tech over the last year and a half not running the football the way they're accustomed to doing it with physical offensive line play and NFL caliber running backs. They're going to have to find some sort of creative balance here in the second half. You know, their goal for Logan Thomas running is somewhere between 80 and 90 rushing yards a game. He's almost halfway there in the first. Again, he's sore. After his game last week against Marshall, he's going to have to show great grit here in the second half.
He's a tank.
Just let him do it.
6'6", 254. Who's going to hurt him, right? Here comes the pressure. Italchu, and they set up a screen. Edmonds, and Georgia Tech does a good job defending it. It'll be 3rd down and long. DJ White, first guy there to stop Edmonds.
Italchu is one of our key matchups we talked about at the start of the game, facing off against the true freshman, Jonathan McLaughlin. Little game end around right there, able to get into the backfield. He's a guy that has to step up here in the second half and apply pressure on Logan Thomas. He is one of the 2 biggest impact players on this Georgia Tech D.
Willie Byrne, who was shaken up in the first half with Virginia Tech, is back in the game. He's in the slot, bottom of your screen. Thomas hit and dropped. Drilled, coming on the pressure was Brandon Watts, and it'll be 4th down for the Hokies.
Another example of Georgia Tech tonight finding a mismatch in pass protection. There's a heavier linebacker coming right here, being picked up by Joel Caleb, who played wide receiver last season. Again, we've seen twice now smaller running backs having to pick up bigger defenders on 3rd down. Ted Rue finding those mismatches.
We talk about Logan trusting his offensive line and his running backs. It's hard when you get hit in the back of the head like that.
4th and 25. Hughes gets it out of there. Zenon calls for the fair catch. He went down and got it and covered it up and made sure it didn't sneak away from him. Georgia Tech will have it for the first time in the second half from its own 18.
With the key to defending the triple option is you have to be unpredictable as a defense. And so here's the triple option. Watch. Tackle blocks down, set hut. Well, the quarterback's reading my shoulders, and if I'm going like this, turned to the running back, he thinks I'm taking the running back, so he takes the ball and keeps it himself. Now, if you do it again, and you're coming in as a defensive end, and you're turned, but then you pull off, and you get the quarterback, now you've given them 2 different looks. You've changed up, and you've made it a little harder for the quarterback to make a decision.
Bud Foster has a couple of athletic defensive ends. How well have they executed that type of game plan tonight, David?
They've been on point. I mean, to hold Georgia Tech to 62 yards rushing to this point, and they have mixed it up. They've got their hands on people, blown people backwards, ran them down. They've done a little bit of everything.
Counter option look from Gale. Here to make the stop, first tackle of the second half.
It's a perfect example right there. Great job being active, getting underneath the blockers and making it hard for him.
I think if you go back and look historically at the defense in the play, whether it was LSU in a bowl game in 2008, Iowa 2009, Virginia Tech last year, great defensive line play. All those teams had a month or more to prepare, but they had great D-line play. You got 4 NFL caliber players up front for Virginia Tech.
On that last play, Gale just beat Will Jackson. Plain and simple, Jackson was coming around to get him, couldn't do it.
Which 4 guys do you want to credit that tackle for? My goodness.
And you talked in the very beginning of the game, David, about the 2 inside guys, Luther Matty and Derek Hopkins, being a problem. I think they're one of the best defensive tackle tandems in the entire country. And I don't care what kind of scheme you have on offense, and I don't care what you do on defense. Sometimes you just get whooped up front.
Absolutely.
And that's what's happening right now with Georgia Tech.
5 guys blocking 4, you should win. You're not.
Their guys are better than your guys.
Paul Johnson said that was the reason they didn't win the game in Blacksburg last year. Pressure on Van Lee, just heaves it up. Godhigh out there. Can he make the grab? He does! Robert Godhigh with his first huge play of the night gets it in to Virginia Tech territory. A pickup of 40.
You haven't called Godhigh's name a lot. This was a good job again of Van Lee buying time in the pocket. Jack Tyler running scot-free. And he takes a shot, but he puts it up, gives the 5'7" running back an opportunity to go up and high point the football over free safety Dietrich Bonner.
High point? Did you say that with a 5'7" receiver?
Midpoint?
Okay, that's better.
Right.
Robert's going to get you guys for that. Lasky, the B-back on the carry. We haven't seen a lot of production for giving it to that B-back, but a pickup of about 7 on first down.
We saw the first couple plays, and it was very successful. Then Georgia Tech goes away from it. Now you start to get that juices going. The offensive line, they start getting a little happy. They get a little lather, want to beat up on the D-line a little bit.
Georgia Tech, David, can just give themselves a chance to run the football. They cut out the 5 false start penalties and the delay of games, set up second, third, and manageable. They can get back to running their offense.
Lasky stuffed, 3rd and short.
But right now, you're in 4-down territory. If you're in Paul Johnson, you get that big gain.
He's always in 4-down territory.
First down. If you get into 2nd and 6 or less as a D coordinator right away, you got to start thinking 4-down territory. And that's what Bud Foster's thinking right now.
Foster looking for the next move. That pass play to Godhigh could be a huge momentum shifting play if the Yellow Jackets can pay this drive off. Van Lee stopped, and now I think we see where the ball's going to be marked. It's going to be about a yard short, and we'll get a chance to see that 4-down territory with 4th down coming.
Derek Hopkins had 11 tackles in this ball game a year ago, and he just shot that gap and said, no, sir.
Nope. And that's the one thing about Luther Mattey and Derek Hopkins. It's the quick twitch inside. Now you see Paul Johnson. You have the guts to try that play again, giving instructions to his B-back, David Sims, who's telling Vadley right now exactly what to do.
Jump into it.
So a 4th and 1 and a huge play for the Jackets.
Wow.
And this time, instead of the false start, Virginia Tech jumped through there. Jack Tyler, I believe it was.
Offsides, number 58 defense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
And Bud thought he had it stopped, and Tyler was a little anxious.
Well, you've seen Fuller coming in there all day, but you see Fuller's reaction, just jumps on the ground like, come on, dude, I've been doing this all day. You want me to show you how to do it from the cornerback spot?
Well, Luther Mattey just put both of his hands on his helmet. Hard to get too mad at Tyler. The way he's played tonight, and really the way he's played his entire career. Sims greeted, stuffed Derek Hopkins.
I apologize for saying they should run it up the middle, because Mr. Hopkins is saying, you ain't coming anywhere near me.
You're gonna see, I mean, just the quickness off the ball, the ability to get into the backfield. I mean, it's rare you look at a defensive line and say all 4 of these guys are legit pass rushers. All 4 can win their one-on-one matchups. You see just the quickness and the athleticism Virginia Tech has up front.
Paul Johnson said yesterday a lot of the plays made against them last year came from the backside. Wasn't too far down the line, but a little bit backside. The last play made by Hopkins. Lee with some nifty running before Hopkins is able to chase him down, and Lee showing a little emotion. It'll be 3rd and short for the Yellow Jackets.
That time, Georgia Tech did get a hat on Jack Tyler at linebacker. They were able to do it from the outside. You're going to see Jack Tyler right here. Watch how the guard comes through clean, gets a body on Tyler, slows him down just a bit. That allows Vad Lee to get into that lane. Nice adjustment by Paul Johnson.
Vad Lee, 1st down. Move the sticks, clock moving. Yellow Jackets trying to get it to a 1-possession game. This was a drive that Georgia Tech desperately needed.
This is what we're used to seeing with Georgia Tech. Finding ways to get 4th and shorts, 3rd and shorts, keep the chains moving, keep you on the field, wear you out a little bit. It's not up-tempo fast like Oregon, but it's usually very effective.
Gift to Sims. Sims plows ahead. Hopkins with another stop.
And as a defense, it's great because, you don't want to give up explosive plays. Now, the downside to that, you may have to be on the field 10, 12, 14 snaps like Virginia Tech is right now. They're not substituting a lot. Therefore, now you wonder, do they start getting tired, the conditioning level of this Virginia Tech defense in the second half? We saw North Carolina get worn down in the second half of their game this past week.
I start bringing Kyle Fuller back in there and blitzing him a little bit more because it worked early.
Lee slips a tackle, still on his feet inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal for the Jackets.
There's 17 coming shooting through. You're also going to see left guard again getting a hat on Jack Tyler at middle linebacker now. This offense has found ways to neutralize Kyle Fuller, running away from him. And they're also neutralizing Jack Tyler now, getting interior linemen on him.
Derek Hopkins had a chance to make a play, just a tackle in the backfield.
You're starting to see some missed tackles from Virginia Tech, who played a triple overtime game 5 days ago on Saturday. Another fumble and another turnover for the Yellow Jackets, it appears. Or did the Hokies got away from it? And boy, how lucky is Vad Lee?
How did they get that football back? That was just laying on the ground for a Virginia Tech Hokie to pick up.
Collins and Face
and both
into
of
each other.
I don't know how that thing got away from them.
Quarterback center exchange issue.
My goodness.
Vad Lee never even had the football. They had a problem with that against North Carolina as well this past week. We talked about the ball security issues they've had. How they got to clean that up. That was almost extremely costly.
You don't want to say it in the third quarter. That could have been a knockout blow if you blow it like that. Gottheim looking for the corner. Can he get there? He cannot. Dietrich Bonner in the backfield. 3rd and goal, and the Yellow Jackets are throwing it in reverse.
Yeah, and I bring Kyle Fuller every play. I mean, he does a great job of not getting cut, and he stretches that play out wide. And it's just, man, it's so impressive to see a corner that you're willing to throw up in the box time after time. And look at that. Great job going against an offensive lineman, getting across his face and making that ball go outside. And now you got Georgia Tech in 3rd and long, right where you want it.
So Virginia Tech, keep your eye on wide receivers Darren Waller and DeAndre Smelter, the big size outside. Both going to be lining up on the same side here at the bottom of the screen.
Georgia Tech had 1st and goal at the 2. Now it's 3rd and goal at the 10. Lee firing over the middle, and it's going to be a pass interference call on Dietrich Bonner. Lee was looking for Smelter. The Hokies were close to forcing a field goal attempt, and Georgia Tech going to get out of jail.
Dietrich Bonner knows.
Pass interference, number 8 of the defense. The penalty will be placed at the 2-yard line. First down.
Bonner didn't have to be physical here. Vad Lee lobbed this football over the middle of the field. Bonner could have just run up behind the receiver and swatted that away. Didn't have to put the body on.
So, you know, after those 3 plays, we're back where we started. 1st and goal from the 2.
So it was the mental errors by Georgia Tech in the first half with penalties, and now Virginia Tech with some of the issues on their own, keeping the drive alive on a 4th down offsides, and now a pass interference call in the end zone.
Over the top was Fuller, and through the middle was Sims. Touchdown, Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets got 2 first downs via penalty against the Hokies. They're able to cash it in with a touchdown.
Kyle Fuller doing his best Troy Polamalu impersonation. Vad Lee gets the handoff just in time. And what about David Sims running Jack Tyler over at the line of scrimmage? 6 feet tall, 225, running a foot off the ground. How bad did Georgia Tech need that score?
Very badly. Just over 3 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Johnson will opt for the point after, and rightfully so, I might add. 14-10. All of a sudden, on the flats on a Thursday night, we got a game. 4-point lead for the Hokies.
ESPN College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans. Guaranteed.
For a full century, they played football here at Grant Field. Now Grant Field at Bobby Dodd Stadium. It's celebrating its 100th anniversary. This field was built in 1913 by members of the Georgia Tech student body. They had 36 All-Americans here at halftime that they honored, including a couple from the 1952 National Championship team. And the jerseys and uniforms Georgia Tech wearing tonight, a throwback to the 50s and 60s era, one of the glory eras under Bobby Dodd here at Georgia Tech. Some of the Great names in Georgia Tech history here to celebrate the centennial season of football at Grant Field, including former Yellow Jacket player and coach Bill Curry on hand. Georgia Tech just finished off an 8-minute, 12-second drive. It's longest of the season for their first touchdown on a bit of a throwback night. The Jackets breaking out these new uniforms, and they were nice enough to give us some jerseys. And boy, George O'Leary somewhere is thinking, man, oh man, how good would Pollock have looked in a Georgia Tech jersey?
He wanted me on offense. He wanted me to play fullback.
That color looks so good on you. You know, guys, I feel like we just got drafted, and I love your number, Reese.
Like 99?
You're the 3 technique.
Gotta get in the weight room, dog.
Get to eating. Use a quickness like those defensive tackles have tonight for Virginia Tech. Logan Thomas, good pickup on first down, and we didn't forget Samantha. I'm 99, she's number 1.
She's a skill player.
I got a dress. You guys apparently got jerseys, but I got a dress. I think I'm going to wear this on game day tomorrow. What do you think? Or I guess it's Saturday.
Based on where you're going, Sam, I don't think I would advise that. You're going to Athens.
Probably good advice.
College game day in Athens for LSU and Georgia this weekend. A good start to the weekend here in the Peach State as we're over an hour away from Atlanta to Athens. 14-10, Virginia Tech with the lead. Logan Thomas wanting to take a shot. There's going to be another pass interference penalty. He was looking for Willie Byrne. Jamia Thomas tripped him up, it appeared.
And I think it's extremely important for Virginia Tech to keep it open.
Pass interference, number 14 of the defense. 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
This isn't 3, 4, 5 years ago where you line up with Ryan Williams and you can pound the rock over and over. Virginia Tech's not built like that up front. They don't have experienced back. They're all very young. So you still have to put the ball in your best playmaker's hands, who is Logan Thomas.
But no matter what they do, David, they got to convert first downs and give their defense a breather. They were just on the field for 14 plays, over 8 minutes. They have to convert first downs here, maintain possession of the football, and give their defense a chance.
Hokies only have 29 yards rushing tonight. Thomas gets rid of it, complete, close to midfield. Thomas was trying to strip the receiver, but unable to do so. Making the grab was Charlie Meyer as we check in with Scott Van Pelt.
Time now for the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. A lot of eyeballs will be on the shoe Saturday night when Wisconsin comes calling on Ohio State. Urban Meyer said today of Braxton Miller he will probably start if there's any rust. At least the Buckeyes have a nice plan B. Kenny Guyton has filled in quite capably since Miller was injured here against San Diego State. Back now to Bobby Dodd, Reese, Jesse, and Dave.
Quick screen to Dimitri Knowles, and Georgia Tech was all over that. Paul Davis making the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
We talked about the pressures on Scott Loeffler in this offense, making your possessions count when you play against a team that runs option offense. You don't know how many plays you're going to get left in this half. Last week against UNC, they only possessed the football for less than 8 minutes in the second half. So you got to make them count. You got to generate first downs. You cannot waste plays.
And Georgia Tech has brought a lot of pressure on 3rd downs. You've got to take advantage of it with quick patterns.
Pressure coming from the top. Picked up nicely. Thomas going to try to run out of there, but he can't get it done. Gotsis was the first one to get him, and Jamia Thomas finished him off. It'll be 4th down for Virginia Tech.
Looked like Logan Thomas wanted to throw a hitch out to the left-hand side, but good coverage. Again, really good pressure up the middle from Georgia Tech and Gotsis. And that's a win for this Georgia Tech defense. After giving up a pass interference call, get the football back. You've got rhythm on offense. See if you can get it going again.
Movement all over the place on the punt team. It'll be a false start on the Hokies.
False start on the offense, number 59. 5 yards, 4th down.
Reamer sees his team back up. Tony Zeman returning punts for Georgia Tech. We've seen him struggle to field the ball a little bit. Had some bobbles, some catches. Their normal punt return man, Jamal Golden, is out with a shoulder injury. He's also missing from the Yellow Jackets secondary. Georgia Tech almost got a hand on the punt from Hughes. Zenon decides to pick it up before it can roll anymore. He slipped one tackle, but not the other one. And the Yellow Jackets, who just drove it 82 yards for a score, will have it 91 yards away from the end zone. Time now for the Aflac trivia question. Saturday, Ole Miss travels to Tuscaloosa to take on #1 Alabama. 61st time these two teams have played. How many times have the Rebels beaten the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa? You guys have a guess? There is a connection also to the answer to this trivia question and somebody in the stadium tonight.
By our silence, can you tell if we have a guess or not?
I was going to say 0, but if there's a connection, there has to be at least one, right?
I'm going to say 1.
Reese?
I'm just throwing out 1.
I mean, you're giving me 1 then.
Not necessarily. Jack Lasky on the carry. Final seconds of the third quarter winding down. The answer to tonight's Half-Life trivia question is indeed 1. 1988, Ole Miss beat Alabama on homecoming 22-12. The connection to tonight, the head coach of the Crimson Tide, is Bill Curry.
Yeah.
Ole Miss will try to make it 2 times on Saturday night. But more pressing issues here for Curry's alma mater on the Flats. They're down 14-10 to Virginia Tech as we get set to start the fourth quarter. Logan Thomas shut down in the third quarter. What has he got in the fourth? Celebrating its 9th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed more than $3 million in scholarship funds. Bobby Dodd Stadium was jumping as we start the fourth quarter. Whiteout conditions, throwback uniforms. The Yellow Jackets have struggled with the Hokies, dropping 5 of the last 6 meetings, and now down 4, backed up deep in their own end as we start the fourth quarter. Jack Lasky powers across the 15 to the 16. Needs to get it up to the 19 for the first down. J.R. Collins on the stop.
Now I'm continuing to watch to see what Paul Johnson's done to make adjustments in the blocking schemes to deal with Kyle Fuller hopping over the line of scrimmage and to deal with Jack Tyler, middle linebacker, on that play. I mean, Jack Tyler now has a lot of action in front of him. There are white jerseys touching him each and every snap.
Jackets need 2.5 yards. Now they need 7.5. Another false start by Shaquille Mason.
Number 70 offense, 5 yards, 3rd down.
Another costly jumping of the snap count from the Yellow Jackets. We've seen it all night.
3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 in this offense versus 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 in this offense.
Look a little different.
Is night and day if you're Paul Johnson. That's their 6th false start tonight, guys.
It's interesting. Bud Foster's brought pressure almost every single passing situation. I think he can come home with just 4 guys.
Yeah.
Corner blitz again.
Faison's coming on the corner. He's picked up. Lee fires it out. Miscommunication. Summers went in. Lee fired it out. 4th and 7. And the other problem with the penalty, in addition to making them pass, now you don't have an opportunity to flip field position. Virginia Tech's going to get it back somewhere around midfield, you would imagine.
And Paul would have gone for it probably on 4th and 1. I mean, that's how he rolls. I mean, that's what he's going to do. He keep it manageable, and he likes himself, and we've seen him convert it plenty of times.
Poole's got a big leg, and he'll need it now. Low sort of end over end. It is not a very good punt, certainly not by his standards. And Georgia Tech is going to have terrible field position in terms of where their defense is going to start, as we have some extracurricular activities and then in stripes. Get things sorted out. Virginia Tech will have it in Yellow Jacket territory after we check in with Scott Van Pelt.
Time now for the AT&T All-American Player of the Week. Tennessee, Florida, 3rd Saturday in September, and this one went the way of the Gators thanks to their smothering defense and Dante Fowler. He forced 2 fumbles. He recovered another. As Florida defeated the Volunteers, you can get in on the action by texting your vote weekly to 34763.
Well, that Florida defense has been good, and what a shame about Dominique Easley.
Terrible, terrible news. He was the best defensive lineman playing at the highest level, arguably in the country.
ACL injury, so he'll be lost for the year. Logan Thomas right down the seam and a drop from DJ Coles. And we've seen a ton of those this year. That's the worst one tonight.
Pass protection's been a problem this year. Lack of playmakers at running back has been a problem this year. But I would say this has been the biggest problem. I bet there have been 15 to 20 drops on the season already. And Logan Thomas knows that was an explosive play. That was an opportunity missed. That's a catch that must be made.
Oh, Logan Thomas had the horrible 5 for 26 stat line in the opener against Alabama, but there were at least 6 balls dropped, many of them just like that.
There's 6 every week, Reese.
2nd and 10 after the drop from Coles. Thomas firing it out. This one is caught complete. First down and a little running room. And how about the big tight end, Calvin Klein, making his presence felt.
He did
15 yards.
Great job coming back to that ball, because I didn't know if he was going to get out there in time. Great job coming back and then breaking the tackle. So there you go. Cole doesn't make a play for his team. You see the tight end? He makes a play for his team.
And the inexperience is inevitable. I mean, you see it all over this offense, whether it's on the offensive line, whether it's a wide receiver. That was a true freshman tight end that made that play. That's been playing football for a year.
Hookie's a little crossed up and get things in order in time, so Logan Thomas will spend a timeout. 1st and 10 from the Georgia Tech 33 when you come back to Atlanta. Virginia Tech with a 14-10 lead on Georgia Tech. Glad to have you with us. ESPN College Football Primetime, served by Applebee's. Saturday night, a Big Ten showdown. Number 23 Wisconsin and Melvin Gordon, the nation's leading rusher, against Urban Meyer's Buckeyes. Urban still undefeated as head coach at Ohio State. 8 o'clock Eastern time on ABC. And Chris Borland going to try to slow down Braxton Miller and company. We hear and understand that Miller expected to get the start after Kenny Guyton's played very well while he's been hurt. Logan Thomas trying to run the quarterback draw and broke a couple of tackles and got inside the 30. They move it forward. Georgia Tech needs to hold him to a field goal or less on this drive.
Logan Thomas needs to keep running the football. You look at any of the tape from early this year, the most success they've ever had is when the 250-pound former tight end is toting the rock. They're going to have to do that more here in the 4th quarter.
2nd down and 6. Thomas very accurate tonight. Tech showed pressure, backed out. Logan Thomas still on his feet. He picks up the 1st down. Talchu among those in on the tackle. Samantha Ponders on the sideline.
Logan Thomas obviously taking a lot of hits tonight. I noticed some discomfort from him on the sideline and found out he is playing hurt tonight. He has a strained abdomen, something he suffered before the Marshall game last week. Played through it, obviously got some pain medication to deal with it, but still very sore, playing hurt out there tonight, guys.
The way he's throwing tonight, I'd strain the other abdomen next week.
Logan, big, strong, tough guy. He'll run it again. Carrying Yellow Jackets. Takes the whole team to stop him. Jabari Hunt Days was first, but he had a lot of help to get Logan on the ground.
The truth is, Virginia Tech doesn't have Lee Suggs and Kevin Jones and Darren Evans or Ryan Williams and David Wilson. They don't have the same physical offensive lines that Hokies fans have been used to seeing for the last 13 years, but they do have Logan Thomas. They do have a threat. He's not a threat to take it 90 yards, but he's your best shot right now on offense this season running the football.
Picked up 4 on 1st down. And they let the play clock run out.
Wow.
Play a game. Offense. 5 yards. 2nd down.
And Reese, that was a great look Logan Thomas had pre-snap. He had man-to-man coverage across the board. There was nobody deep in the middle of the field, and I don't think Georgia Tech was bringing pressure. I don't know if that was an incorrect call defensively, but that was a look. You're looking at it, you're going, wow, this could be a touchdown right here, and you don't get the play off.
Mental error on the Hokies makes it 2nd and 11, backs them up outside the 20. Clock inside 11 minutes to play. Rushing 4, underneath, and he misses Willie Byrne. 3rd down and 11, and this is a huge play for Georgia Tech's defense right now.
Big time. Keep it within a possession. I mean, they've been bringing pressure, and listen, got a wide open receiver. You just got to make that play if you're Logan Thomas, and he knows it. That's the thing that drives you nuts. Jess, you're a former quarterback, but I just watched him. I'm going, man, dude looks sweet coming off the bus. 6'6", 240, slinging it. He can throw it through a car wash without getting it wet, and then does that.
Watching the tape, he's more comfortable throwing the football over the middle of the field. See if they can find a way to get it throw in that area.
Pressure coming from the corner. Thomas hit from behind. Jamea Thomas gets rid of it, and Tautu almost intercepted it.
We've seen on 3rd down, Ted Roof able to dial up pressure. Now, the last couple times it's been from the interior. This time he brings his corner, Jamea Thomas, off the edge against the true freshman left tackle, Jonathan McLaughlin, who was late seeing the blitz coming from the outside.
Cody Journell is going to try the 39-yard field goal. He was suspended for the Marshall game and had a rough day against East Carolina, missing a couple of field goal attempts and an extra point. Journell to make it a 7-point lead. It's on the way, and it is good. So Virginia Tech gets something out of the drive. The lead is a touchdown. The Yellow Jackets will have their chance when you come back.
ESPN College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. Applebee's 2 for $20 menu just got even better with the new Honey Pepper Grill. And in part by Buick. Visit your local Buick dealer to see why thousands of people are switching to Buick each month.
ESPN College Football Primetime on Saturday night, presented by Hampton Hotels. #1 Alabama taking on #21 Ole Miss. A.J. McCarron and Bo Wallace. Ole Miss won a few recruiting battles against the Crimson Tide. And those guys now will try to lead the Rebs into Bryant-Denny and pull off the upset behind their quarterback, Bo Wallace. Here in the ACC, a 7-point game coming down the gut of the 4th quarter. David Sims will take a knee, and the Yellow Jackets will put it in play on their 25.
Yeah, and I love what Georgia Tech and Ted Roof did. Your best pass rusher, Tautu, is at the left side. You see him rush 95% of the time. They bring pressure from the opposite side, drop him into coverage, confuse Logan Thomas for a second. He holds onto the ball, and they get the big sack. So kudos to Ted Roof.
He's done a very good job this year, David, simplifying the defense. It's a lot simpler than what it was maybe in years past, and as a result, these guys are able to just line up and play fast.
Ted's a former Yellow Jacket player. Spent some time on Gene Chiswick's staff at Auburn. Last year he was with Bill O'Brien at Penn State. He said that Penn State year was as rewarding as any he's had in coaching, but it was an opportunity to come back home to raise his 2 teenage boys in a place where he grew up. So Ted Roof back here and doing a good job with the Yellow Jackets. And
he knows about good D. He led that Black Watch defense. You know, guys, he had 25 tackles in one game. 25 in one game. Those are Pollock numbers.
That's insane.
I mean, against Tennessee, it's crazy. You might want to run on the field here and start getting some snaps.
Yellow Jackets picked up 4 on 1st down. Back to Sims. Sims, if he could have kept his feet, probably would have had at least enough for the 1st down, but Derek Hopkins tripped him up.
And it was so important for Ted Roof and his defense to get that stop, keep it within a 1-score game. Paul Johnson is just business as usual on offense. They don't need to hurry. They can take their time. They can still move the sticks, get 3rd and shorts. They need 4th and short. Paul will probably go for it. Just keep doing what they do.
And David, I think that's another advantage of playing option offense. Your defense gets to huddle up on the sidelines. They get minutes of time to talk about adjustments, catch their breath, get ready to go back out and make a stop. And they're going to need one coming up.
Big third down. In the backfield, and another tremendous play from Derek Hopkins. How good have Kyle Fuller and Derek Hopkins been tonight?
MVPs of this defense so far. You can put Brandon Faison maybe in there as well.
Kyle Fuller, hold on now.
But hey,
I'm going to fight for that dude.
Check out number 98 at the bottom again.
Cut block
Fighting cut blocks. He's just too quick. Explosive out of his stance.
Okay, now 4th down, and Georgia Tech leaving its offense on the field. Now we see them try to draw an offsides penalty earlier tonight. We also saw 2 years ago in a similar spot, albeit with a shorter distance to go, Johnson went for it and got stuffed. 4th and 2. They snap it. They give it to Sims. He gets stuffed again. They'll turn it over on downs.
Wow.
What a stop by, again, guess who? Derek Hopkins and his running mate inside, Luther Maddie. What do you think about Johnson's decision?
It's what he does, and you know, and
doesn't make it right.
But I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. And I mean, you know, you've had more success running the football here in the second half. You know, maybe you design something outside, away from Hopkins, where all the action is.
That's what I say. If I was having a lot of success running the ball up the middle, maybe I would. But Hopkins has been making a living in the backfield. There's still a lot of time, and your defense hasn't played terrible tonight by any stretch. I think you've kind of dialed in this offense for Virginia Tech. Now you give them an opportunity to just get 5, 6, 7 yards and kick a field goal and put it out of reach.
It's a 2-possession game, exactly. Logan Thomas wanting to strike, fires, got his man. It is Joshua Stanford, and the Hokies threatening to deliver the knockout blow. Pickup of 17.
Logan Thomas didn't give Stanford a choice whether he wanted to catch that or not. I mean, he put that right in his chest, may have broken a shoulder pad, and he needed to, because that was a tight window to fit that football in. And again, what about Leffler? Sudden change situation as the offensive coordinator, throwing it downfield because he has trust in his senior leader.
A ton of pressure put on Ted Roof's defense. Thomas trying to finish them. Edmonds and Thomas, both of them wanted to hold on to it. Jeez. Lucky. But Logan Thomas has those great big hands, so he's probably less likely to fumble it on a ride.
Well, I mean, his hands look like he's holding a Nerf ball or a tennis ball, but he's like, listen,
he's like,
listen, this is mine.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to take care of this.
My ball.
You can just come on me.
I mean, you look at that looks like a Nerf ball. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's like Troy Aikman hands on a football. It's ridiculous.
And Logan's a senior and Trey's a freshman.
I'll take the ball.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
My time.
My ball.
2nd and 6. Thomas will keep it. Thomas will slide to avoid taking the hit at the 10. It'll be 3rd down and short.
Talked about how they had to get better in red zone offense. Here's another marquee opportunity, scoring a touchdown, making it a 14-point game. But one thing you've seen early, when the game's on the line, they keep the football in Logan Thomas's hands. You saw that against Marshall last week in overtime situations. You're seeing it again tonight, and it's the right thing to do if you're Scott Leffler.
Think number 3 is going to touch it on this one?
Well, he's definitely going to touch it.
Spread it out.
Does he keep it?
Tech's been bringing all sorts of pressure.
He's keeping it. Thomas straining ahead. It's going to be short of the 1st down. Jabari Hunt Days goes low to cut him down. It'll be 4th down.
I think you have to kick the field goal. I think you have
It's
to
a
make
two-possession
it.
game.
You've got to make it a
Absolutely.
2-possession game right now. I mean, you think about a knockout shot. If you gamble and get this, under 6 minutes to go. And again, Georgia Tech not an offense conducive on playing comeback and playing catch-up. That's something I think Frank Peter's talking about now.
They're bleeding a little clock here, I think.
Yeah, you gotta kick this.
Is this why you would have punted it to begin with?
Absolutely.
Backed up?
Yeah.
Hindsight's 20/20. It's easy after the fact, but
I think we pointed it out before the
Yeah.
fact. I think, you know, I understand that they go for it on 4th down a lot, but you're putting your defense in a position where they are right now. They've done a pretty good job to keep them out of the end zone, but a field goal may put the game out of reach. Sort of an all or nothing play when there's a lot of time left. Yellow Jackets need a miracle, it would appear, if the Hokies can knock through this field goal. And the Rams. Cody Journell has made his only a field goal attempt tonight. Made one from 39. This a short one from 25 to make it a 2-possession game in favor of the Hokies. Journell on the way, and it is no good. Cody Journell misses the field goal, and boy, did Cody Journell just do Paul Johnson a solid.
And that's why you go for it, Reese, because you know your defense is going to step up.
Hey,
you got a guy missing it. In all seriousness, that's a kick that obviously just has to be made.
Reese, talk about the kicking situation at Virginia Tech and what they've done this season.
It hasn't been good at all. Journell, as I mentioned earlier, had a couple of misses against East Carolina, had another miss negated by running into the kicker penalty. Missed an extra point, was suspended for the Marshall game. In the Marshall game, the guy who took his place, Ethan Kaiserling, he had a field goal blocked in one of the overtimes that potentially could have given the Hokies the win. So Journell's had success in his career, but he's been shaky this year, and Georgia Tech gets a reprieve with 5:37 left to go. Van Lee gets rid of it. Man out there, got him, and he couldn't hold on to the football. Darren Waller had it in his hands for a second, but Dietrich Bonner was right there with it.
You have to be alert for the pass against Georgia Tech on first down. It's when they like to take most of their shots, and that is a tremendous play by a much smaller player in Dietrich Bonner. Strong hands, taking that away from the bigger, more physical receiver.
He made the bonehead play on the goal line that cost him and got Georgia Tech a 1st and goal from the 2.
Pass interference penalty.
Yeah, and makes up for it there. Great job competing for the football, knocking it down.
Well, find a Hokie on defense who hasn't been just top shelf tonight.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech still has a chance. Lee firing to the outside. Waller does hold on this time. Picks up about 6. It'll be 3rd down and an important one for Georgia Tech, obviously, as we have 5:24 to play. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series going to Dover. You can see it on ESPN Sunday at 1. Matt Kenseth has assumed the early control by taking the first 2 races in the chase for the Cup, but it's tight at the top. 4 drivers within 36 points, and everything could change in Dover on Sunday. It's also available on the Watch ESPN app.
Think they want to go anywhere near that middle with the run?
No. Whatever you do.
Outsides and passes.
It'll be a pass. Slant and dropped. Put it right on DeAndre Smelter. Might have been deflected or knocked away, but Smelter had a chance.
Guess who?
It was
Guess who?
Hopkins got a hand on it.
Bernard Hopkins, once again. You're going to see him right here at the bottom of the screen.
Bernard hit it.
Derek Hopkins
puts the hands up. That guy's having a ball game now, and now Paul Johnson not going to go for it on 4th down.
You were comparing his hands to Bernard Hopkins. I like
that.
that.
You like that?
Punched it, right? Well, Georgia Tech has 3 timeouts. And that was one of the reasons I thought they should have punted it last time. Poole will punt it this time.
How about this D answering the bell every time it's needed to?
I'm going to say it right now. I think they're the best defense in the country. I know there's a lot of football to be played. I think they're the best in the country.
Poole didn't get off a pretty kick, but it might be effective. Keeps rolling. There's a flag down. Now sitting at the 38. It'll be touch dead. At that point, we'll check on the flag. It's sitting at the 38-yard line of the Hokies. Officials having a summit meeting to sort it out. Chris Milton at Georgia Tech might have been involved in some type of issue.
I saw Bonner get pushed in the back, but I don't know.
I believe it was that. I believe it was Milton who pushed him.
I didn't know what you could call, though, you know, because it's not really a clip.
It's called a personal foul.
That's a little bit much. Personal foul for that, for pushing somebody in the back?
Jerry Magalanis will tell us.
During the kick, personal foul, number 6 of the kicking team. 15 yards will be added from the end of the play. 1st down.
So instead of having it at the 29, they'll have it at the 44. The personal foul costly for Chris Milton, and the Yellow Jacket defense will be tested one more time. 17-10, Virginia Tech has a lead on Georgia Tech, and Chris Milton of the Yellow Jackets just called for a very costly personal foul penalty, and he really didn't get his money's worth on the push.
Costly, terrible call. I mean, come on, I know what he's doing. I think it's smart. He's trying to push Bonner into the football to get him to touch it, but that's not a personal foul, for goodness sakes. He had his kid gloves on. He didn't even hit him hard.
Well, it changed the field position for the Hokies. Instead of being inside their own 30, they're up close to midfield. Thomas fires a strike. DJ Coles, who dropped one earlier, makes a very good catch on that one. They pick up a 13.
How about that play call? You think they're going to come out and run the football? Georgia Tech was expecting it. They had nobody deep. They had loaded the box. Scott Loeffler, a little bit unpredictable, going play action. That was a great catch that time. We've seen some drops tonight by these Virginia Tech Hokie receivers. That was a huge catch.
First and 10, inside 4.5 to go. Trey Edmonds. He's wrestled down by Brandon Watts. It'll be second and long.
This would definitely be a place you'd expect, to see more quarterback run. You need that +1 advantage in the running game with the extra blocker. And Sam had mentioned earlier about he's playing hurt right now. He's already carried it 16 times. That doesn't count the other plays where he's been sacked or he's been hit. Again, you're going to need to show toughness. They're going to need him here to try and ice this game.
Again, if he's hurt, it's a good thing. I mean, because he's putting it together. If he's banged up, this is one of his better performances we've seen in the last year and a half.
19 and 25, 221 yards and a touchdown for Logan Thomas. Edmonds, it'll be third and long. Manuel Diake with the stop. And Georgia Tech, they're not a quick strike offense. They have to conserve some time, so they'll use their first timeout and try to stop the Hokies on third down and get it back for one more possession on the flats. Just what we expect when Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech get together. The last 7 meetings decided by 11 points or less. Last year they went to overtime. And now in a 7-point game, 3rd and 8 for the Hokies as they try to move the chains and keep the clock moving.
Ted Roof has dialed up pressure here the last couple third downs.
Hokies keep it on the ground. Edmonds hit in the backfield and stopped. And Virginia Tech will have to punt it away. Timeout is called Georgia Tech. They have one left, 3:28 to go. They want to conserve as much time as they can. Their option offense.
You're going to win games this year if you're Virginia Tech because of your defense. So let them, I love this, just let them win you the game right now. You execute the punt properly, you force this Georgia Tech offense to march the field like you've done all night. This defense, if they are the best in the country, and I think they are, they've got to prove that right now.
And they've done it inside, stopping the run with the option. You've done it with your defensive tackles. You've done it with your defensive ends. But Mr. Hopkins says, no, sir, inside consistently. Won the short yardage situations against this offense that is so hard to win. And Bud Foster jacked up. I would be, too.
And they've created turnovers. I mean, they've done everything right except just get in their own way. They allowed that touchdown drive because of an offsides on 4th down and a pass interference in the end zone. So, if you're Bud Foster, if you're Frank Beamer, you love this scenario.
A.J. Hughes hoping to pin the Yellow Jackets deep in their own territory. Hughes, what a beautiful punt by Hughes. And Georgia Tech is going to have 1.5 miles to go after the terrific punt by the redshirt sophomore from Terre Haute, Indiana. Boy, that was a beauty. They'll mark it dead. The nose of the football resting just inside the 5-yard line. 95 yards away for Paul Johnson's team. Wisconsin and Ohio State just a couple of days away now. Saturday Night Football presented by Windows on ABC. Melvin Gordon, James White, a dynamic duo at running back for Wisconsin. Gordon's leading the nation in rushing. Urban Meyer, his team ranked 4th in the country. He still hasn't lost a game as a Buckeyes head coach. Van Lee has room to run. Lee gets a little breathing room and picks up the first down out close to the 20-yard line. A 15-yard pickup. Clock will stop to move the chains.
Love the play call by Paul Johnson, head coach, doing a nice job getting Van Lee outside the pocket. pass run option. Give yourself some breathing room. Get this 2-minute drive started.
Trying to get everybody set. Darren Waller coming to the right side. That was the longest run of the night for Georgia Tech at 15 yards. Now Lee with some room. He's going to roll out and try to throw it. He's looking for a Smelter. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Just a little bit off target. He's just got to be. He's left a lot of plays out there that he's thrown it to him, but just a little bit off. There's some space. I mean, you get so much man coverage in this offense. This is where we talk about him being the best thrower in the Paul Johnson era. He's got to show it.
And this is really where Virginia Tech's defensive line can step up now. I mean, pin the ears back. All game long, you've been worrying about reading your keys, fighting cut blocks, trying to stay in your gap. These are pass situations. Get upfield, get after the quarterback.
They've got fast guys on the end now in from Virginia Tech, too, and Daddy Nicholas and Tyrell Wilson pinning their ears back, and here they come. Lee pulls it down, eludes one tackler and a couple. He's close to the first down marker, going to be about a yard short as the clock winds toward 2.5 minutes in the 4th quarter.
Now, because you're pinning your ears back and pass rushing, as David knows, that doesn't mean you can just get wild and get out of your lanes. You know, right now, they're taking
you like to say, get weird.
Get weird right now in the pass rush. You still got to play your assignments. You can't give Vad Lee chances like that to gash you.
And there was movement on the right tackle. Vad Lee.
Are you kidding me?
Where they're coming in. They're calling it a first down. You see the referee coming from the back and saying it's a first down, so clock will stop to move the chains. Now, Georgia Tech hasn't exactly gotten the plays in quickly. They shuttle plays in from the sidelines. Takes a little bit longer sometimes. Clock moving now, headed toward 2 minutes. Georgia Tech still 70 yards away. Pressure. Lee. You get rid of it. It's outside the tackle box. Daddy Nicholas was the one. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
So Bud Foster's been watching Vad Lee roll out. This time he decides to bring Cal Fuller off the edge to try and cut that off. Now he's going to get cut right here outside, but still pressure backside from Nicholas. A little adjustment there, but Bud Foster trying to keep the quarterback in the pocket.
Well, the difference is when you bring one of those little fast guys, when they get cut, they get up like that. Just spring. This is one of the detriments of this offense that people complain about, is coming from behind late in games when you need a drive. Can they put it together? This is when you have a chance to shut all those people up and say it.
Lee gets rid of it, taking a shot, has a man back there, and Dietrich Bonner's going to be called for pass interference again against B.J. Bostic, but you know, this is not the NFL, so not necessarily a bad decision there. It's going to be a 15-yard penalty instead of a big completion.
Head coach Jim Fossil from the New York Giants used to tell me, I'll tell you after this call.
Pass interference, number 8, defense, 15 yards from the line of scrimmage, first down.
He used to tell me as a quarterback, the worst thing you can do when you have a guy going deep is overthrow him, because you don't give him a chance. One of the best things you can do sometimes is underthrow the ball, because either A, your receiver comes back and catches it, or B, the cornerback can't locate the football, and you get the free pass interference call.
You always wonder when it's like 7 yards underthrown, though.
That was intentional.
It's not necessarily always intentional, but hey, Virginia Tech continuing to stay aggressive and play man coverage on the outside.
After the penalty, Jackets have it at the 45. Pressure from the back. Lee gets away once, and he can't anymore. Inside a minute and a half, Brandon Faison is coming off the edge, and Georgia Tech, after the sack, is going to use its final timeout.
Staying aggressive at the corner blitz.
You can afford to do that against this type of offense simply because they're not used to the passing game necessarily, right? You feel a little more comfortable bringing that type of pressure than you would maybe against an offense that throws it around a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I think you crowd the receivers quickly, take away anything quick, and you make the quarterback go, oh goodness gracious. And the pocket presence, you've seen that's not a guy that's going to go from 1 to 2 to 3. He's one, oh goodness, I'm gone.
Again, I just don't think, I disagree with crowding receivers at the line of scrimmage. The last thing you can afford is a ball going over your head. You press these guys up front. We've seen a couple situations tonight where Georgia Tech receivers have gotten behind guys. You can't be too aggressive. I love the pressure, but I think you still got to play soft and keep the football in front of you.
And that last pass interference penalty against Bonner, Bostic was behind him.
Oh, he was well behind him. But
See, this is where
they're running free all the time.
This is
It's
where
just can you hit it? You want them to take shots and make plays because a lot of times they don't do it.
maybe now you take Kyle Fuller and put him back outside. You can get another fast guy inside to get pressure on the quarterback.
No more timeouts for the Yellow Jackets. 2nd and 13. Lee throws it away. It'll be 3rd and 13. 1:25 to play.
And this should be in Virginia Tech's wheelhouse, because to me, this is what they're built to do. Get pressure with 4 guys, and they have defensive backs, corners, and safeties that can cover man-to-man. See, Bud Foster
and guys that can rush the passer.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is what they do.
Yellow Jackets have to get it to the 45 of the Hokies.
3rd and long is not what Georgia Tech does.
Thad Lee has made some plays with his legs. Drawing the pass interference penalty, and Georgia Tech's going to back up 5.
maybe not.
No, maybe not. Right after the incomplete pass would be 4th and 13. Movement, I think it was God high.
Illegal motion, number 25, offense. Penalties decline. 4th down.
So decline the penalty, take the 4th down, and here it is. Georgia Tech either converts to keep the game alive, or Virginia Tech stops them and takes a knee and wins the game.
And it's the same thing. It's, it's roll out, roll out, roll out. That's what this offense you're comfortable doing. And Thad Lee's just going to have to make a play. Somebody's going to have to win a battle on the outside.
So bring pressure if you're Virginia Tech from the bottom of the formation, right? From the left side of the field where you anticipate Thad Lee rolling out. I know if you're defensive end,
stay wide.
It's like a Hail Mary situation, right?
Yeah, you don't let Goddard. Gale's got to make sure he's outside. Absolutely. Well, just bring fast Fuller is always good too. We'll bring everybody.
Lee has to throw it out. Gives Bostic a chance to make a play. Instead, it is picked off. Not by Kyle Fuller, but by his brother Kendall. And the freshman makes his 2nd interception of the year. And the last gasp effort for the Yellow Jackets is snuffed out by one of the Fuller brothers.
So we talked about bringing the heat from the strength of the formation. Kyle Fuller, James Gale coming outside. You got a switch. You got the middle linebacker coming too, and Jack
Tyler's coming too. Don't.
And there's the true freshman. He's a 5-star recruit out of high school, one of the great Fuller brothers. We talk about Kyle. Older brother Vincent played in the league 8 years. Corey's playing with the Detroit Lions, and now the young true freshman Kendall getting the game-sealing pick.
How about this defense was forcing 3 turnovers on a short week against this offense? It's extremely difficult to play against. Jesse making a case for the best defense in the country.
I think they are.
I think it's in Gainesville, but I'll disagree. But this defense is salty.
Dirty.
Bud Foster hobbling around there, but he's going to feel just fine at the end of the night after this splendid performance by his defense.
You take a look at Virginia Tech's schedule, kind of what they have coming up. Don't have to play Florida State, don't have to play Clemson in the regular season. This defense is going to give them a chance to win every conference game they play. Keep your eye on Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech, after a lackluster performance against Marshall in which they escaped, they had a brilliant defensive performance tonight. Time for tonight's Wrangler 5-star player of the game. And how about the big fella inside? David talked about him right off the top. Derek Hopkins, 7 tackles, 5 of them solo. He is our Wrangler 5-star player of the game.
The immovable object in the middle, getting off the rock, making big plays on 3rd and short. And really, we talk about the triple option starting with the dive. Mr. Hopkins said, I got the dive. Y'all worry about everything else.
And they took care of everything else on this night in Virginia Tech with a very important win in the ACC Coastal Race. 17-10 the final. The Hokies come to Atlanta and get a victory. For our entire ESPN crew, I'm Reese Davis saying good night, and here comes SportsCenter.